better be careful, because if you screw that up, people are gonna come for you. You know.
Yeah.
Marcio Roberto Francisco says, I have a question. Why your wallpaper uses PlayStation controllers? I'm relatively new here. I don't know. Um, Sean Labrie made the overlay, and I think he was just using Xbox controllers because we talk about PlayStation, we play PlayStation games, so it was just random controllers just floating in the background. That's the reason. Let's see. Any more? Oh, there's Sean Labrie, the one, the only, the master. One Bad Mother says Valve blocking Paradox from Game Pass. I thought it would be Valve, would it?
I don't think Valve would do that.
Marco R says recommend Red Rising board game from Stone Mailer. That's right, they do have a Red Rising board game, don't they? I got nobody to play board games with, so I just read the books and play games and stuff. Darren says Ubisoft is shutting down multiple 360 multiplayer servers this month. Should we expect more 360 shutdowns in the future? Probably. I mean,
it's inevitable at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Those games are never gonna, those server-based games are never gonna live forever, because it's not cost-effective to keep running the servers, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So you should definitely expect more to go down. Definitely.
Frizzle says, do you have any interest in sci-fi? Have you read any 40K books? I do like sci-fi a lot. Fantasy is my preferred genre, but I know what I do normally is I'll read a series and I'll flip genres to keep it fresh. So if I read epic fantasy, then I'll read a sci-fi, and then I'll sometimes go to contemporary, like read some Stephen King or stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, currently right now I'm reading The Sun Eater, which is a sci-fi book or sci-fi series. So yeah, I do love me some sci-fi, but I have not read any Warhammer or any 40K stuff. So John says the Dark Tower movie sucked. Indeed it did, but it doesn't matter. I still love the Dark Tower. Childish Bambino says, will George R. R. Martin ever finish Winds of Winter in the final book, which I believe is A Dream of Spring? Geez, man. I've been waiting literally forever for... Like, I started reading Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire when Storm of Swords came out. I forget what year that was. It was in the 90s. And it was just like... I remember telling people, if they adapt this to a TV show, it'll be one of the greatest TV shows ever made. As long as it's done right. And they did it right. And it was until the final season. And it's been 11 years since I think he released A Dance with Dragons. And like a lot of people have lost faith with him finishing it, but he says he's working on it. So I think maybe he releases Winds of Winter, but I'm not sure he releases the final book. He's getting old. He's getting up there in age. So
do people really like books this much?
Hell yeah, bro. All your favorite things are books. Your favorite movies, they're all adapted from some sort of source. Books are amazing, bro. You
books
get on
suck.
that train.
You have to think. You have to imagine shit you're talking about.
It's the best thing. Use your own imagination. Childish Bambino also says, how you liking Vinland Saga? Okay, so I really like it. I really like it. I'm on episode 16. Here's the thing. Okay, this is going to go into my thing about my diet, right? So my thing is I don't normally eat a lot during the day. Or at least my diet right now is I basically eat something every 2 hours. You got lunch, I eat breakfast, I wake up, I have breakfast. 2 hours later, I have some peanuts, right? Like 2 handfuls of peanuts. Then like 2 hours later, I'll have a protein bar. And then 2 hours later, I have lunch. 2 hours later, I'll have like 2 hard-boiled eggs. 2 hours later, I'll have like a bag of popcorn. And 2 hours later, I'll have dinner. And then 2 hours later, I'll have these other the bag of chips I like that are good. And then 2 hours later, I'll have chicken and broccoli. So it's just like small portions, but eating every 2 hours so I don't get hungry, right? And it works for me, But how I used to be was I used to not normally eat too much during the day. And then when I would get online at the end of the night to watch something on TV from Netflix or Amazon Prime, I would would have to eat something. So like I'd be sitting there watching Vinland Saga, but to watch Vinland Saga, I'd have to order something from DoorDash. And I was pretty much doing that like, I don't know, 3 to 4 days a week every month. So right now the hardest thing about the dieting and all that stuff is when I want to watch something on Netflix or anything else, my brain tells me I should be ordering food and I need to be eating food while watching stuff, because that's how I've consumed all my TV shows on all these streaming services for years now, is that I watch a show or I watch a movie, I'm eating something. So
Yeah, I know that feel.
yeah, it's
A lot of diet stuff's about having habits you've learned over your whole life, and it's hard to break those habits.
yeah.
God, I know. I lost 5 pounds this week though. So.
That's good. See, now I'm on a diet, you're on a diet. We're gonna get healthy together, Jez. You know.
Yeah, man.
Georgie says, "Can Patreon members listen to your after show talks?" I mean, me and Jez still need to talk about if we're doing, things we would do for a Patreon. The thing with after there's really no after show because Jez is tired. Because what time is it by you right now? It's like what, almost midnight.
It's 1 in the morning.
Yeah, your girlfriend's probably mad at you. So most of the time we talk for a few minutes and then it's over. So we don't really, because it's so late for Jez, we don't really have a show. But we'll come up if we do Patreon. We'll come up with some stuff. Click says if Xbox ever put out BGM on homepage settings or their storefront like in the Wii, what style, genre, gaming soundtrack would you want playing in the background? Ooh. You know how PlayStation has the song that plays when you're on the dashboard, Jez? That's what he's talking about. What song would you want playing?
Man, Cradle of Filth.
Cradle of Filth.
Death, man. No, I'm joking. Cradle of Filth's on my mind because I saw. Have you heard Cradle of Filth? They're like a British, like goth black metal band. They're doing a collab with Ed Sheeran. It's like pop star. He's really intriguing. So they're on my mind at the moment. But God, I don't know. I did just get a pang of nostalgia when you said PlayStation. The dashboard music, because like didn't their other consoles have that, like the PS2 and stuff? Or am I just thinking of like
they did
relaxing kind of music
they did.
I just like something kind of chill, like it doesn't have to be like a full-blown like music track, but like if it was like
something relaxing, chill. Like what if you loaded up the Xbox and like Vigil from Mass Effect started playing? Oh man, that would be great. Something smooth and relaxing. Yeah. Jesse Darby says Sony Tencent this deal because they don't shave nuts. Sony, okay. Interesting. Let's see. Any more? Let's see. Justin says, "What do you think will happen with 343 if they move Halo to a new team?" I mean, Jez says that's not going to happen, but I would like to see them make something new. So,
I mean, I just don't know who'd make it. Like you're trading one problem for another with that scenario, in my view. Maybe Raven Software could do it.
Raven, that'd be interesting. Maybe give it to one of the Call of Duty teams. Sparhawk says, "Have you ever tried any lit RPG books?" I don't think so. I don't think I have. At least I don't know what those are. But I'm going to say no. Mr. Goodcat says, "I'm waiting for the end of the King Killer Chronicles." I have the first 2 books, but I'm definitely not going to read them until the third one comes out, because what's the point? Although maybe I should read them because everybody says they're really good. I think that's it. I think we're all caught up with everything. So thank you guys so much for being here. hopefully we kept you company on this Friday, whether you're driving somewhere or working or whatever, or just chilling. The support is always amazing. And, it's kind of crazy. Like, we was like, what are we going to talk about this week? And then we had a lot of stuff to talk about. Although, Halo took up a lot of that. Although I wasn't here for some of the Halo talk. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back. Remember, Saturday, not Friday, because Jez is going to be at the nude beach. So, with this Peppa Pig hanging out.
Oh, God.
So, before you guys go, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and have a good rest of the weekend. Keep it gaming.
Take care, everybody.
Later.
Mhm.
All right. Welcome to the 249th episode of the Xbox 2 podcast. One away
Yay!
from the big 250. Welcome. I am one of your hosts, Randall Thor 19, the man with the million. And we're late, as usual, and it is not my fault whatsoever, chat. Can I please get, hashtag Jez always late or something in the chat moving because
Wow.
because it is this man, right, who constantly makes the Xbox 2 late. And I'm going to introduce him because he's the co-host. He's my good friend, my buddy, the one and only managing editor of Windows Central, Jez Corden. What is going on, buddy?
Man, it's been a bit of a week. I had some time off work, for Christmas, and that old chestnut, and lots of chestnuts actually. And then, it's always the way when you have a little break. There's always more work to do the following week because you got to answer all the emails you didn't answer. You got to sort out all the stuff you didn't do that week, and blah 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 blah. So pretty much, I was working right down to the wire today. And, finishing off an article as Rand's trying to organize me into the show. So, yeah, I apologize, everyone, for being late. It is my fault, as much as I do like to blame Rand for things. On this singular occasion, I cannot do so.
I don't know how you can blame me. I am always here early. I have the notes set up. I have Patreon questions all done. All the things that need to be done on my end are done. And then Jez, you see the Cheat Chat? This is what happens. Jez rolls in here like a superstar, right? Like he rolls in here, throws his hair back, throws his sunglasses on the table, and he's like, "I've arrived. Is everything ready for me?" And I'm just like, Do you want your mimosa now, sir? Do you because it's funny because Jez joins the chat and then he's like, "Hold on, I'm about to clickbait something. I'm about to clickbait." And I'm like, "What are you clickbaiting?" And sure enough,
what? There's no clickbait.
You clickbaited it. You even told someone in your company that you're about to clickbait it, and even he felt a little bit slimy of your clickbait.
Rand, there is no lie in that title. A new Gears of War game has been announced.
Yeah.
Has it not? Chat, back me up here. Has a Gears of War game not just been announced? Kind of. Sort of.
That's not the sort of tight. I mean, I understand it is true to a certain degree that there is a new Gears of War game that has been announced. But I don't think that's what people are expecting. Did you at least maybe have in the thumbnail for the article like a picture of the card game? So at least people saw it like, oh, it's a card game.
Yes, okay. Don't worry. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. Yes.
It's not that bad. But hey, new Gears of War game was announced. For those who don't know, it's a card game though. It's not the Gears we were looking for, probably. But it's a tabletop game from SFG. They adapted Dark Souls and Elden Ring and even Resident Evil to a card board game. So yeah, new Gears of War game. Sick. Yeah, you're not excited for this, Rand?
I mean, no? Yeah, sure. We've been waiting on announcements from Xbox, but they announced a new Gears of War card game. Elijah Vasquez in the chat says Jez is becoming the Colt Eastwood of clickbait. Ooh, man, that's Elijah saying that. That's not anybody else. It's Eliza.
Oh man. We gotta play the game, man. Me and Colt gotta play the game. Gotta get that bread.
I mean,
gotta not get fired.
I will say I engaged in a tad bit of clickbait in my last video, which first video of the year felt good to talk about some stuff. I think I'm gonna make a video tomorrow about some things as well. I'm gonna be posting a bunch of content this year, because I kind of was like, there's some months where I was kind of like didn't feel like doing many videos, especially because Xbox was basically like an ostrich, and they stuck their head in the sand for most of last year. And, they let the ABK deal. Like, I don't want to talk about ABK. Like, really, realistically, like, I know there's maybe an ABK topic in here, but, like, I'm going to super speed over it because it's just, like, I'm just so bored of just ABK this and ABK this and FTC that and FTC this. It's like, Ugh.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired of it as well. We'll
Um,
gloss over that shit.
But
And
anyways,
move on to bigger and better things. because
episode
I think this show's
249.
gonna be. Oh, yeah,
One
go on.
more episode to 250, which is incredible. We're entering what, year 6 of the Xbox 2 podcast?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
We know we are.
I don't know. I don't keep track of that shit, man.
I mean, I do.
I rely on you for the numbers and the rememberings. That's outside of my.
This is going to be year 6. We started in April of 2017, so at April of 2023, it'll be 6 years, which is ridiculous. So, we have a good show. We got a lot of topics here to talk about. So, we got Xbox 2023 predictions. Now, when we get to that part, I actually did write down some predictions. I'm prepared, right? Because this is a podcast. We have incredible Patrons, right? You may notice that the Patrons voted for World of Warcraft, and yet the gameplay is Plague's Tale. Now, who should you blame on this one, Patrons? Let me point your direction right to Jez Gordon as well, because I don't play World of Warcraft, and he didn't think you guys would vote for it. And then when he actually tried to sit down and record World of Warcraft footage, his monitor crashed, and he lost the recording. So he couldn't do it. He couldn't record it and get it in time. So once again, Randall Thor 19 here to save the day. And once again, Jez Gordon, I'm just saying.
We're gonna have World of Warcraft next week, and I put it in there the last 3 weeks because I wanted people to vote for it.
Yeah, well,
and I was like,
that's not what you said when I told you World of Warcraft is winning. You were like, crap. That's exactly what you said.
Yeah, because I hadn't recorded any. But I tried to record some earlier, and then I was running on my external monitor, which decided to flicker in the middle of the recording, and then it just stopped recording.
Yes,
which was just great. So yeah, we'll get some World of Warcraft.
I apologize for it. Won't happen again. But we do got a lot of cool topics. Like I said, I'm ready for my predictions. I don't know if Jez is, and I gave him ample time to think of predictions, so we'll see if he has any. But we're gonna talk about.
Man, you're just exposing me left, right, and center right now.
Bro, it's vulnerable. Fun. It's fun to do.
I feel vulnerable. Like what have I done to deserve this? What have I done to deserve all this slander and this slime in this ear, slime in that ear?
I know Kay Asante in the chat's calling me Randall Snitch. I'm just letting people know, if you're looking to someone to blame,
hang on.
It's not my fault.
What if Rand is the snitch?
Ooh, the snitch? No, that's not.
My God,
I'm not the snitch.
That would explain why your predictions are so accurate all the time.
They're not. Well, trust me, these predictions I'm going to give are probably mostly going to be wrong. But either way, we got a great show for you guys. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you
secretly the source of all my leaks.
Make sure you subscribe. To get to 100K, and we're gonna get through some housekeeping real quick. But no sponsor, no corporate sponsor for the show, I guess is the right way to put it. So no Manscaped, although you can still use code XB2 at manscaped.com for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. But we do have a Patreon sponsor this week, and it is the Xbox International Podcast. The link to their YouTube channel is in the description. And the International Podcast is on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And this podcast is for every gamer, no matter what platform you prefer or taste in gaming. They just love gaming. So you're welcome to join the conversation with Crazy Louie, Silent Cypher, and Sour Blow. They talk Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC gaming, mobile games, video games, Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, and everything related to games. And they also bring in a bunch of guests that have their perspective as well. So make sure you check out the Xbox International Podcast and thank them very much. Thank you guys so very much for being the Patreon producer for this episode. And with that, Jez, we have some Patreon shout-outs we need to get through for the lovely people over at patreon.com/xb2. So, you going to do the shout-outs? Or do you want me to do them? Am I doing everything? Is this just the Rand, the Xbox One show? Xbox One show today?
I'm trying to find a bottle of rum I had.
A bottle of rum? Wait. A bottle of rum? What? Are you going to... Well, hold on.
Oh, found it.
You know,
Yeah, I got it.
you're on timestamp duty for the people listening to this later. Hopefully, everybody's enjoying the timestamps.
Yes.
I have been asked directly by people who want to know about your tweet about Xbox code names, and I figured I'd maybe ask this to you now. Although maybe I shouldn't, because if you're drinking, maybe you leak them. Although I would always advise not leaking Xbox code names. You know, I think I advise you not to leak Project Dragon and Compulsion's game and all these other things. Like I'm the angel on Jez's shoulder when it comes to leaks and being like, you probably shouldn't leak this. But you did put out a tweet saying, "Hey, new Xbox code names. Do you want to talk about this later, or do you want to talk about it now?" Or
it's too early.
I'm going to
disappoint.
Okay.
I'm going to disappoint everyone right now. I'm not going to share the code names yet. Too early, and too incriminating. So we'll save the code names for another day.
Another day.
Another day. But there are new code names. There are new sources. There are new beginnings. This train doesn't end when it comes to infos, because I need to know, man. I need to know. I'm just nosy. I've been like this my whole life. I have to know. I have to know everything. I have to know everybody's business.
Yeah.
Rand. I need to know Rand's business.
Elijah says, why don't you want him to leak Xbox
leaked?
stuff? Because I'm just a good guy, you know? But, Jez will do what he does.
Rand thinks I'll get in trouble. Is a reason why.
I'm trying
Rand is a good guy.
I'm trying to protect my friend from unforeseen consequences, because you never know what's going to happen. But either way, Jez, we have some shout outs for the wonderful people at Patreon. So
I'll do them. I'll do them. It's just so Rand stops complaining. Right, here's this week's Patreon shout outs. Thank you to everyone on the shout out tier. We love you very, very muchly. And here are the shout outs. Army Dude 52C, a brand new one. Mr. Butter Jeans, also a new one. William Schumacher, Hoodie Season, Ryan Keipel, Foreign Object, Mythic Marty, Gunstar 75, Murray Donkey 99, C Money, Mario Kart Madman on YouTube, Macazilla, Stegsman, Randall 419, some weird guy, Silas, Eric Gregory, Elijah Vasquez, James Moore, Matt Salinas, Catriox, Bright Tundra 1, Jasper Schaff, Biscuit Lord Jess, Stole My Girl, FML. I really wish I knew who that was. Justin Duell, Frank Marino, P-Bro King, Ace Madison, Untidy Tim, Grizzly, Mofo OG, Governor Grimm, Dizzy Huffing, Woggerman, Achievement, The Scarecrow 1-1, Darren Torpy, Professor JJ, Butterball, Ghostface Killer, Wolfgang KBC, and Ralph Wiggum! Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that.
I'm gonna try and next week I'll try and do the shout outs in one breath.
In one breath, I don't know if you'd be able to do that.
I'll try and do it. I was like, man, could I do this in one breath if I read it really, really quickly? Because I reading it like every week, reading the Patreon shoutouts every week. I'm starting to like learn them off by heart, like a rap or something. I could like turn the Patreon shoutouts into a rap or something. Maybe that'd have to be a higher tier.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh man, I'm already feeling this wrong because I've got an empty stomach right now. Maybe it's a really bad idea to be drinking on an empty drinking spirits on an empty stomach.
Drink, but make sure you keep the timestamps all nice and up to date.
Oh guys, yeah, Brand. Okay, fine. Have we finished the?
Yeah. We're pretty much done with housekeeping. Although I got to give a shout out to the newest member of the channel, Lawrence Davenport. Thank you very much for supporting the journey. Enjoy the emojis and things like that. And I believe next week, Tuesday, I'd have to talk to Jez, but I think we are looking to put on Xbox 2 Ultimate Patreon show. So that'll be sometime next week. So, you can get access to that over at patreon.com/XB2. Links in the description for all that stuff. But let's just dive into the show because we started late because of Jez as usual, right? It's usually how these things go. And now I'm gonna have to bring up my notes here because I'm a prepared person. I am prepared.
You got a super chat.
Oh yeah. We do have some super chats, and I should get to that. I'll get to those. I totally forgot about that. Thanks for pointing that out, Jez. You're helping out.
It's a good job. It's a good job. I'm here to keep things organized.
Yes.
Good job. Good thing.
So we have Mighty Thor with super chat saying, "Listen to you guys always carrying on my listen to you guys always carrying on my mail route. Keep up the good work." So somebody's out there fighting through the elements, the rain, the snow, the heat, and, delivering packages, delivering mail with some earbuds in, and he's got the Xbox 2 on as he's delivering postages. That's pretty crazy. I'm sure we got truckers that have DM'd me.
Postages?
Mail, postage,
Postages?
parcels, whatever you want to call them, Jez.
Packages.
Packages. There you go. Yeah.
Postages.
So, that's pretty damn cool. Which, by the way, did you see the post that our buddy Fame put up, where he walked into a random store and our podcast was on the screens? Did you see that tweet, Jez?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was Fame, right?
Yes, that was Fame.
It's just crazy. Just really, really strange.
It was just a random store, and it's got the podcast up, and it's like, huh. Which isn't the first time people have told me that they've gone somewhere and, they're listening. They're not only maybe listening, but like I've had people tell me that they went to a GameStop and they were listening to one of my videos. Like, hey, this is Randall Thor, the man with the like. Isn't that nuts? Like, people listen to that stuff. I think it's crazy. But
my uncle said, because my uncle's got the same surname as me, he said that someone at work asked him if he was related to me, and then they were like, "Oh my god, I'm an Xbox fan." And Jez, do you know how famous Jez is in these podcasts in the Xbox community? And I was like, "Oh my god, that is wild." It's getting to that point, Rand. It's getting to that point. Watch out, Mr. Beast. Watch out, PewDiePie. What are the other YouTubers that are famous?
Markiplier.
But
Valkyrie.
What's that guy called? The boxer guy.
KSI or Logan Paul?
No,
Jake Paul.
Logan Paul. Yeah, those guys. There's two of them. Jake and Logan Paul.
They're both brothers.
Yeah. Yeah, them guys. We're coming for more, man. Should we challenge them to a boxing match?
We'd get our asses kicked. We'd get our asses kicked. Maybe we can challenge them to.
Speak for yourself, man. I'll take them both by myself.
Maybe we can challenge them to not have any. Oh God, the word just escapes me. Controversies, because they're always involved in some sort of. I think Logan Paul right now is involved in some sort of crypto scam or something.
Oh really?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
some like crypto game he made or something.
Can we start a crypto coin? XB2 a crypto.
What? So like it can be valued pretty highly and then completely drop out and everybody loses their money.
Yeah, but we'd be rich.
Oh yeah, that's all that matters. Is just your personal wealth, right? And nobody else. Yeah.
Nobody else matters.
Nobody else.
That's
nobody
how it
else
works
matters.
for other YouTubers, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But everyone in chat says Bella Delphine. Oh my god, that's the gaming.
Yeah, the gaming girl. Yeah, the gaming. Yeah.
The gamer girl.
The bathwater. Yeah. She's got. I think she has a OnlyFans where she does now really, really not safe for work content.
Dude,
really?
Why don't we have Gamer Boy bathwater?
Because nobody wants to buy bathwater from dudes, unless it's probably other dudes.
There's probably some really weird people out there who are interested in Gamer Boy bathwater. But let's move on.
Did you know that YouTube has updated their some of their policies regarding like monetization and stuff like that, and all swear words are considered the same now. So like, shit is considered as bad as the F word is considered as bad.
Rand.
All that stuff.
You just got to stay monetized.
No. So if you say it within the first 15 seconds, you're demonetized. So you can't say any of these bad words within the first 15 seconds, but you can say it after that, but not a lot.
Is it just when it's near the ad?
So it's like just near the ad. So if it's within 15 seconds of the ad, they're like, no, completely demonetized because right. But you can do it later in the video. But you can't do it like a whole bunch. But all the different swear words are considered the same. The only ones that aren't are like damn and hell. I guess damn and hell you can just say as many times as you want now. But all the different swear words are just as bad as the F word and all that stuff. But
can I say?
Yes.
Can I say penis?
I believe you can. Yes.
Does it like?
Hey, don't get me demonetized because I don't know. YouTube's
Is it
crazy about this stuff.
Is it not like the context that matters? Like, if I was speaking anatomically about the male member, would that be okay?
Maybe. Maybe within the first 15 seconds it wouldn't be. But it wasn't even that, because a lot of gaming channels were getting demonetized for older content. And there's also this thing with like gaming violence where they don't want any sort of violence also within the first 15 seconds, and they don't want any of like beheadings and liquids leaking from bodies really at all within the video. So like, Resident Evil 4, like,
wow,
they're just kind of getting like really, it's like you need to make sure, which is why like a lot of my videos I'm like, oh, here's some Forza footage and here's some High in Life and stuff, because you never know. Because I lived through the adpocalypse when every single video you put out would get demonetized. It's just crazy how YouTube, they didn't even communicate this. It wasn't like they told people. It was just people had to discover this on their own. But it's YouTube, so we love them. They provide the platform for us to talk about this stuff. But yeah, I figured I'd bring that up. Shout out to Silent Cypher for becoming the newest member of the channel, also a member of Xbox International. We have he also dropped a super chat earlier and said, "Happy New Year's, guys. Hope you had a safe holiday with lots of gaming. Let's go." Mighty Thor also says, "Happy New Year's. You guys are the best. Thank you very much." Dank Studio says, "Imagine being named Rand or Jez. Bad mothers, laughing my ass off." What? Imagine being named Rand or Jez. Bad mothers. Yeah, I mean, well,
it's not either of our real names.
It's not neither of our real names. My name's not really Rand, for those of you listening. My real name is Matthew. So, I know. What a generic name, Matthew. Man, how many people that have said to me, like, I thought Rand was your real name? In fact, when I started talking to people originally on the Xbox 360, they thought I was French because they were like Rand al'Thor. They thought the Al was like French, and like, oh, I thought you were gonna be a French dude when I first started talking to you. But it's like, no, I'm just a white dude from Illinois, from Chicago, with my first name being just Matthew. I mean, how much of a generic name can you get? What's your real name, Jez? What's your real name?
I'm not going to share for
You're not going to share
various reasons. But people do call me Jez in real life. I call you Jez. But I thought your name was Randall or Randy, like Randy Marsh.
Randall? Oh yeah.
Randy Marsh. Randy Marsh is awesome. You remember Randy Marsh?
Yes, from South Park, of course.
Yeah.
So Jez doesn't want to drop his real name. He's scared. What could it be? What could it be?
You'll never know.
Yes. Donkey Plays his best Xbox podcast on my way to Mexico. Oh man, for vacation? If so, hope you enjoy your vacation. Dark Cia says, "Happy New Year, everyone. Be safe, good health. Let's enjoy 2023 and what Xbox brings." Yes, I already see people pissed off at the Gears of War card announcement, Jez, by the way.
Yeah.
Which
that's so good.
You know how people are, about which
I mean, people just kind of they want Gears information.
Oh yes, they 100% do. Coalition's been quiet for a while, so they want to learn more about the future of Gears, and who knows when we get it. But hey, you guys been waiting for that Starfield release date, that Redfall release date? Well, wait a little bit longer, but instead, we have Gears physical card game for you to play. Yes, we're starting off the year right with some incredible Xbox news with physical cards.
Card games are like really popular.
Sure,
with,
they are.
Board games and stuff with people our age. I had no idea. Like, I got a friend who's like really into that stuff. Like, they've got like a whole room full of board games. I was like, man, I ain't played a board game since like Operation when I was a kid. Did you ever play that? Operation?
I played. Yeah, we had Operation, indeed. Mm-hmm.
I love that game.
My favorite game as a kid, like card game wise, was probably Uno. Like, I loved Uno. I played it also a lot on the 360. Like, if you could look at how many games I played on Uno, it was ridiculous. No, it wasn't because of the webcam and you could see things you weren't supposed to see. But That was sort of that was before Xbox had Party Chat. If you remember, they didn't get Party Chat to 2009. So if you just wanted to talk to multiple people at once, because you could only do a private chat between one other person. So either would be in like a Halo lobby, but we used Uno, and we would just be like playing Uno and just talking while we played Uno. It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
I never played Uno. Never played it. I haven't
Emeritus
played many board games.
in the super chat says, any rumors on Double Fine's next game? No, but I believe I think they're working on multiple games, right, Jez? I remember hearing something.
Sorry?
Double Fine. Any rumors on Double Fine's next games or next
I haven't
game?
I haven't got anything on Double Fine, sadly. I know they're working on multiple projects, but that's about it.
Multiple projects. It wouldn't be. I think. Yeah, multiple projects sounds about right. Hopefully they return to Psychonauts universe at some point and do a Psychonauts 3 because Psychonauts 2 was amazing. We have a super chat here from Joaquin Branch. First time I probably said his first name right. I want to start predictions by predicting Rand will cross 100K and Jez will be promoted again, potentially engaged also. Are you going to engage this year, Jez? Do you have any thoughts?
That's scary. Scary said that, actually.
Really? You're going to drop a bombshell on the show right now? You thinking about proposing to your girl?
Man, I mean, it wouldn't be surprised if I said it here, would it? Well, I don't know if she'll hear this anyway, but yeah, maybe.
She's not listening. What do you think? You're going to get promoted again? Are you going to be editor-in-chief at Windows Central? Is that something on the cards?
That won't happen.
That won't happen?
No, because that's Daniel Rubino, man. Daniel Rubino made the site. I mean, I suppose if Daniel Rubino, died in a plane crash or something, touch wood. Yeah, maybe then, but no, I'm not vying for Dan's job. We're a team Jez, Dan and Zach, and the rest of the cool peeps. Richard Devine, Brendan Lowry, tons of people keeping Windows Central ticking over. No designs on that job. Frankly, managing it is stressful enough. I think I'm at like my stress threshold right now. But yeah. Matthew is a biblical name, says Kiloki.
Indeed it is. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the four Gospels. Yes.
Is Jez a biblical name?
No, Jez is like an apocalyptic name.
What about Jesus Christ?
It basically signals a delayed podcast.
Jesus Christ? No. That's probably blasphemy.
Got a super chat here from Sith Lord saying happy 22 year anniversary of the OG Xbox reveal. Has it been 2 years? Or 22 years since The Rock was on stage with Bill Gates?
God, is it?
At CES? I think it actually might be.
Yeah. I think so, yeah. That is crazy.
That would be, wouldn't it?
Crazy. Yeah. Long ass time.
Let's see what else we got here. We have our buddy Sin Vendetta with the super chat saying, Happy New Year's, guys. My top 5 most anticipated games of 2023. Number 5, Diablo 4. Number 4, Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Number 3, Life of P. Number 2, Starfield. And number 1, Hogwarts Legacy. It's a pretty good top 5, I would say.
I got a question for you, actually.
Okay.
Regarding this, Akami13 on Twitter,
right?
Who's a sort of a growing newcomer, I suppose, on the leaks to see in game reporting and stuff. Akami13 Twitter, well worth a follow. He's got lots of good information that I personally verified. He posted something interesting, which made me consider. He said that he predicts, Rand, that Hogwarts Legacy will be this year's best-selling game, one of the best-selling games. And I was like, there's no way Hogwarts Legacy outsells Diablo 4. Personally, what do you think? What do you think? Well, my mentality was Hogwarts Legacy is a single-player game, so it doesn't have that virality. It'll kind of it'll drop off Twitch really quick. But Diablo 4 is a service game, multiplayer service game. And it will if your friend buys it, then potentially 3 of your other friends will buy it, and their friends will buy it, and their friends will buy it. So, what do you think? But yeah, Hogwarts is Harry Potter, right? But there's also a lot of controversy revolving around Hogwarts Legacy. What do you think? Do you think Hogwarts Legacy will be the best-selling game of the year? Or do you think it'll be Diablo, or do you think it'll be Call of Duty again? Is Call of Duty even coming out this year?
I mean, there's supposed to be some sort of expansion that's coming out at the end of the year. It's tough. It's tough because I could see Harry Potter being one of the best-selling games because it's based on a beloved IP, and people have been waiting for like this game and an actual good Harry Potter experience. It's possible. However, it's also fragmented. It's coming out next month on Series X, S, and PlayStation 5. But the last gen versions are delayed till I think summer, and the Switch version doesn't come until sometime later too. I want to say it's also on PC, but I'm not sure on that. I'm just assuming it's on PC, so I think it does have the possibility. But I wonder how the delayed releases will hurt it, because you know how people are with delayed ports and stuff like that. Diablo 4? I mean, yeah, I think Diablo 4 is a candidate for one of the best-selling games of the year, as well. I don't know. I could definitely see Harry Potter being way bigger than people expect, because Harry Potter is a game not many people in our sphere are really talking about, but it would definitely be a game that the casuals are super interested in, or just Harry Potter fans in general. There's a reason why I think Sony went out of their way to be co-marketing that game, right? They just had their CES, and when they're talking about games at the end, they had that big screen like, hey, we got some big games coming to PlayStation. It was Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2, and right in the middle was Hogwarts Legacy, right? They paid for exclusive content. So there's a very good possibility that Hogwarts Legacy is maybe like top 3 selling games, depending on how good it is and how much it catches on with casual gamers, just people that don't listen to the show, don't listen to YouTube vids. It's like, I'm a Harry Potter fan, and there's millions of them, and I want to play it on a console. So I think there's a good chance. I mean, would you be shocked if it outsold Diablo?
Actually, I would be shocked if it outsold Diablo. Yeah, I think I probably would be shocked, because single player, it'd be a surprise, because like multiplayer games are sort of like du jour now, right? Single player games, even if they are based on Harry Potter, they don't really have the same legs. The same legs as a game that you can share with your friends. So yeah, I would be shocked. Actually, I would be hardcore shocked if Hogwarts Legacy outsells Diablo. I would be shocked. But I think it'll sell really well. I think it'll probably do better than Final Fantasy, Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see, I guess. I just thought it was interesting to discuss, because a lot of people push back on my suggestion that Diablo would outsell it in the comments. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe there are like some really hardcore Harry Potter peeps out there.
Yeah.
You read the books, right? We talked about this before.
We've talked about it before. I've read the books, and they're my sister's like favorite things in the world. Well, at one point, she's also a big Taylor Swift fan, but she loves Harry Potter. So I read the books, yes. Super chat here from RDX Son of Fett saying Randy Marsh is my favorite South Park character. 4 Guys with Quarters TV, the one and only Italian Clowns, drops a super chat and says Randall Capone could be his real name. He's been calling me Randall Capone for a while. El MNPO says Square Enix wants to make multiplayer games, but their exclusivity deals are hurting their dreams. Yeah, I think I saw that article by Tweaktown.
Yeah, that article was interesting, because the headline kind of made it seem like it was a news thing, but it wasn't. It was just their opinion. Like, Square Enix themselves never actually said exclusivity is hurting us. It was Tweaktown's opinion, and I went through like the whole statement. I went through their investor report. I was like, where did they say this? Where did they say this? And it's like, oh, they actually didn't say this. That was just Tweaktown that said that. But that being said, I do agree with Tweaktown. I think like their footprint would be a lot bigger if they embraced, at the very least, simultaneous PC launches and didn't sort of price them at $70. I don't know, but
Right.
we'll see. We'll see how Final Fantasy 16 does, because it looks pretty damn good in my view.
Yeah. Tom from Toonami says, I think Sony had only those 3 games front and center because I think those are the only big games this year. I think the rest of the year is just VR. Potentially. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, Sony hasn't done a showcase, and they didn't do a showcase at all last year. They did some state of plays. VR is coming out for them at the end of February, I think. They talked about that at CES. They have Forspoken coming in January and Final Fantasy 16 coming in June. And then, right now the only first-party game that they have scheduled for 2023 is Spider-Man 2, which is, be a big game. Spider-Man is beloved. Spider-Man Miles Morales are both great games. Insomniac is a very, very great developer. Pretty much showing everybody up this gen, because not only did they put out Miles Morales, they also put out Ratchet. They're going to put out Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 2, and then they already announced Wolverine. Everybody else is like, we can barely get out a single game this gen, and Insomniac's over here pumping out like 5 games almost.
Insomniac's hardcore, man.
Yeah. I know, I think recently, because, they're doing a lot of promo for The Last of Us Part 2. And, they're doing promo for The Last of Us TV show, the HBO show. And they mentioned that they'll have more to share later this year about Last of Us Factions. Don't know if that'll actually release this year, but it definitely seems like they're actually going to reveal it this year. So, that'll be something. So, you have to wait and see whenever Sony announces stuff. We have a super chat here from Mordant Mockfish saying, big anticipated game early in the year is Atomic Heart for him. I do think that game looks pretty cool. I'm looking forward to playing it in February. I'm really looking forward to playing Dead Space this month. Like, I'm so excited. I'm going to be starting Callisto Protocol tonight to go through that game. Jez is always like, oh, Randall, trending gamer, because I only play games that are trending. But, it's been a month since Callisto Protocol came out. Now I'm starting it, Jez. What do you guys say to that? It's not trending no more. Nobody cares.
Still trending.
No, but it's not trending. Come on.
Yeah, if it was a year old, you wouldn't play it. You wouldn't be touching it if it was a year old.
Yeah, I would, because it's part of my backlog. It would be, but I'm going to be playing that. So I'll talk about it next week, Callisto Protocol. Decide for myself whether or not the game's bad or good, because I have seen, Gaz and Colt really liked it, but then I talked to other people that really hated it. So and I know you liked it, but it kind of sits in that. Like, oh man, the game's okay, or the game's great, or the game's bad. A lot of opinions on it.
Yeah, it's. I agree with Broken Games HDR. It's mid. It's mid. It's not great, but it's not terrible. It's like some people were acting like it was terrible. I kind of just appreciate it for what it is. That being said, I haven't bothered to finish it, so how great can it be if I haven't bothered to finish it?
Face 23 BKNY. Always supporting the channel. Much appreciated, man. He says, Microsoft realizes criticizing the FTC's constitutionality was dumb and offers a forelock tugging retraction. Did you hear about this, Jez?
That's an interesting descriptor there.
It is a forelock tugging retraction.
I like it. I like it.
Where'd you get that from, Face? Was there a lawyer or something that said that? Because I've never heard those 3 words together. Forelock tugging retraction.
So what is forelock? Like hair? Your hair or something?
What is a forelock tugging?
Like your fringe, your bangs? I
don't know. Did you see
I like it though. It sounds it sounds quite elegant. I quite like it. Yes, I did see this. I actually did see it. I didn't cover it though. I should have covered it, but I was too damn busy. But I might just throw it in my other article. I'm starting to consider just doing instead of like separate articles, I might just do a timeline of all the drama, because it's like it's constant. It's going to keep going on and on and on and on, and I want to keep a record of it all. But I also don't know if I want to write an article about it every bloody day. But anyway, I digress. I did see this. Microsoft retracted their statement that sort of called into question the constitutionality, I don't know how to pronounce that, of the FTC. And, I actually think that, on the face of it, they're not completely wrong, because the FTC doesn't exactly have the authority to block the deal. They have to go through federal court system, from what I understand. I'm by no means an expert in American law, let alone British law. So it's kind of like, I kind of get what they were getting at, because they were complaining that they've been denied their rights to due process, but at the same time, it's like, well, they're not given due process because they're not a federal agency, and they're not the arbiters of whether or not the deal will go through. So it's like they're almost like an independent sort of advisory kind of body, sort of, that make recommendations and take things to federal court. I don't know. So they probably are right to retract that particular statement, but it is a sort of interesting climb down, especially given the climate of things that's going on. But yeah, so I mean, the other story with regards to this week was, I mean, we might as well just get this out of the way now if we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But the other story of the week with regards to the FTC was that the deal, I guess. The UK CMA announced they're delaying their decision to the end of April. So, I think it's April 26th, I want to say, off the top of my head. And also, they had their preliminary hearing with the FTC's court system, I believe. I think that was on Monday or Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday, I want to say. Destin Leggeri streamed it on his YouTube channel, which I don't think anyone else did, which was really, really useful, and I really appreciate that, Destin. Thank you for that, because I was flying when it was all going down, I think. But it was quite interesting, because Microsoft kind of said, they just sort of offered their position. It's just a preliminary hearings to offer context for potentially taking it forward. And I misinterpreted some of this stuff, because I put an article out saying that Microsoft was prepared to go to close the deal without seeking the FTC's approval, which they can do. The FTC could block it by going to federal court if they think they've got a case, but it would be like an unprecedented and sort of very aggressive move if Microsoft did try to sort of bypass the FTC. So it's sort of it's unlikely that they would do that. So Microsoft just kind of signaled, though, that they are prepared for the possibility that the FTC could seek to create a federal court, a court case out of it. But what they basically said was, and they hope will happen, is the CMA will accept remedies, the EU will accept remedies, and that Microsoft will bring those remedies to the FTC in hopes of resolving the matter amicably without having to take it to federal court, which is what I think Microsoft is willing to do but doesn't necessarily want to do. It's also kind of it's hard to gauge whether the FTC is willing to do that either. You would have thought, if they were going to take it to federal court, why not just do it already? But it could just be part of their tactics to sort of drag this on as long as possible, wear Microsoft down, I don't know. But in any case, that is the current status of the whole shenanigans. Microsoft sort of waiting for decisions from the UK and the EU and preparing for a possible federal court showdown with the FTC. I don't know. Have you got anything to add to that, Rand? How do you feel about all this? How do you feel about this?
I feel
stuff?
Numb.
You feel
numb? Cold. I just
you feel cold.
I don't care about this stuff. I don't care about ABK. I don't whatever. It's value to me in being something that excited me is long gone when we had lying, crying, Jim dance move, Saving Private Ryan going one-on-one with Phil Spencer, back and forth, throwing, mud at each other like pigs in a pen, right? When Xbox was saying things to PlayStation and PlayStation was saying things back, and seeing what PlayStation really thought about everything and what Xbox thought about themselves, where Xbox is like, we don't know how to make games, PlayStation's way better, and PlayStation's like, we can't compete without Call of Duty, we'd literally die and go bankrupt. Game Pass, that stuff was super cool, super interesting. The minutia of all this stuff is just boring court stuff. I understand why someone like Hogue Law, who seems to be getting better. So shout out to Hogue. Hope you fully recover. Why, he's super interested in that stuff, or why Destin is. I'm just not personally. I just want this to be over. Either way, whether it gets approved or whether it gets blocked and Xbox and Microsoft have to walk away paying Activision a bunch of money. I know that's not what you want to hear because you're such a Blizzard fanboy and you want content gone and you want a new day for Activision Blizzard. I don't care. I just want this whole scenario to be finished. It's gone on like way too long. Unless there's new information that comes out, I'm just kind of waiting to see what the CMA and what the European Commission say. So that's where I'm at this point. Unless Jim Ryan and opens up his big mouth again and we have some more mudslinging, like I am just like, whatever. I read these things, I see these things, and I just fall asleep. Am I the only one that feels that way? I'm just completely over all this stuff. I don't care anymore.
I kind of I'm pretty much already there, but it's kind of like, I just want it over with now. Honestly, even if it's either way, I'm kind of at that point now as well, where it's just like I'm just so tired of it now. I'm tired of waiting to find out whether or not it goes through. Try to wait and what the next bunch of drama is and all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of over it as well. I mean, the other bit of news that I forgot to mention this week was a bunch of websites did like articles on some of the legalese that Microsoft used. Did you see this? I thought this was quite interesting. A bunch of websites wrote articles that was like, Microsoft claims it doesn't know when Call of Duty came out.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like I thought that was quite funny because it was kind of like that is like just pure. I mean, I'm not like I'm by no means a law expert or whatever, but I've seen enough sort of like previous cases and stuff to know that's just normal. They're not gonna answer these kind of research oriented questions. Because why should they? Why should they make it easy for them? That's like completely normal standard sort of law stuff, So like, of course, anyone in the courtroom could have picked up a phone and Googled the launch day and stuff. But like Microsoft's like, why should they do that? They're not legally obliged to provide that information. Like if they want to build a case based on when the game come out or whatever and make arguments based on that stuff, they need to bring the information. So I just thought that was kind of funny that some people ran with that as a headline, like acting like Microsoft is somehow being intentionally obtuse or something, because it's like that's just how this shit works, But anyway.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it for the FTC stuff.
The FTC, ABK stuff, CMA delaying the decision, Xbox retracting their unconstitutional claims to the FTC. Yeah, that's pretty much, and if you want to learn more, well, Destin Legary's been posting multiple videos a day about all this stuff. And
he's really leaning into that.
Yeah, he's leaning heavily into that. I'll make a video about it maybe if something super interesting comes out. But other than that, I'm completely over it. We have a let's see, super chat here from Kaloki, who says, "Did you see One Piece was the most watched show on Netflix in 2022? I think Randall Weeb and Jez-kun should watch it. Yes, it's 1,000 episodes, but pure fire. I doubt there's any chance in hell I will be watching One Piece unless we add like a Patreon tier where it's like Randall Anime, and for X amount of dollars a month I watch anime shows and talk about them on the podcast or something. That would be the only way that I would ever watch One Piece or a bunch of other anime shows. It would have to be a part of Patreon.
I think like there's just like, even if I really wanted to watch One Piece, which I don't, there's physically not enough time, because that shit's like 1,000 episode long.
Yeah,
I'm not even exaggerating. It's like something like 800 episodes or something like that. There's just no way. There's just no way in hell I'd ever.
You know what I do see a lot of newer creators, like, there's a lot of reaction channels out there where people react to trailers or TV shows or movies, which is, I always find it interesting that people upload their reactions to entire movies now, right? they'll like cut it, but they'll have the movie playing in the corner and then their reaction, and then it'll jump forward. So you have a whole bunch of channels, and they all do really well, of like people watching Avatar for the first time, or people watching Lord of the Rings, and stuff like that. Like content that people are super interested in. There's channels, big channels, that have basically blown up off of reacting to trailers and TVs and movie shows. But something I have noticed, and like a thought came to my head, but I would never do it, was I also see a lot of channels blow up when they actually start watching anime. And I've seen channels do this where they like start One Piece and they upload like a reaction to them every like one a week. But then they're not only watching One Piece, they're also watching Naruto, or they're also watching another anime. So it's like they have a bunch of and so it's like you have these people, because I think in the anime, I could be wrong, this is just my perspective on it, maybe a completely off base, but I think there's a part of some people who are like really into anime that enjoy it when somebody new gets into stuff, and they like to watch new people's reactions to anime. Like if you're watching Bleach is Bleach a TV show, or is Bleach an anime? I think so.
Yes,
or Demon Slayer, right? I think the people that are like really big fans and YouTube, they enjoy watching somebody brand new to the thing and seeing their reactions, so they can vicariously live through them and kind of feel how they felt when they first watched it and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've literally done that myself.
Oh, really?
I got like, but not on YouTube. Like I got friends and family. The first time I watched them got them to watch Evangelion, or especially the movie end of Evangelion. I never know how to pronounce that. I love doing that. I've done that like 3 or 4 times.
I know this is sort of to be
so messed up.
Is because my friends are like that too. When I watched Vinland Saga, they were like, "Tell me all about it. What'd you think when this happened? What'd you think of Thorkill? What'd you think about this? Isn't that crazy when this happened?" Like, they were all super excited to talk to me about what I thought and what my experience was with Vinland Saga. And then I see some of these channels that watch these shows, and it's like, oh, well, maybe, if I was starting Randall Reacts, right, my React channel, like I'm going to have Randall Reads as my book channel, and then Randall Reacts as my React channel, where I react to like
feeling productive, like
my reactions to TV shows, movies, and all that stuff. One of the things that I'd have to watch anime, and then everybody be like, "Oh man, this guy doesn't watch anime," but I'm gonna sit here. He's starting One Piece. I'm gonna watch it all the way through. He's starting what's another long anime?
Bleach,
Naruto, or whatever.
Dragon Ball.
Randall reads, Randall reacts.
From Dragon Ball to
I don't know. It was just a thought I had, because I see this happening, and I'm just like, maybe people would want to see my. Either way, whatever. That's neither here nor there. We have Jay Primo, who's been a member for 29 months, saying, "What up, fellas? Happy Friday." The one and only Rick Gaffney says, "Do you think we will get a special edition Starfield Xbox Series X and S console?" Which is a good jumping off point to one of the topics I had, Jez, which you were kind of like, what? Was that Xbox announced a brand new console bundle this week, correct?
Yeah, for Forza, right?
For Forza Horizon 5. It is retails for $559, so $560. It comes with Forza Horizon 5, but the Ultimate Edition, so it's the $100 version. It comes with the full game. It comes with the first expansion, which is I can see it in my head. I just can't speak it.
Hot Wheels?
The Hot Wheels expansion. Expansion 2 is supposed to be, I think, revealed soon. They talked about how they would show more in early this year. So, it's interesting because this is sort of what Sony's been doing this gen, is that they bundle a game with their console. They bundled Horizon Forbidden West and sold it for $560, and they bundled God of War Ragnarok and sold it for $560, which is almost a way to it's kind of like a sly price increase. Even though Sony didn't do it slyly, they literally raised the price of the consoles everywhere in the world except for here. But for here, they bundled the game, and you can sort of it's like a slight price increase. And Phil had talked about last year about the idea of like they won't be able to like hold pricing on certain things, right? They said at some point we're going to have to raise prices, and we saw their announcement of about $70 games during the week of the Game Awards, just out of nowhere, no reason, just hey, guess what? Starfield, Redfall, all these new games, all these next gen only games, they're $70, right? So there was that. And people were speculating about whether or not they would raise the console price. And I said, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because you can't raise it in the United States. You really can't raise it elsewhere because Xbox doesn't really sell that well in European countries. And I sort of feel like you at least need some advantage over PlayStation. So it didn't really feel right to me that they would raise the price of the consoles because of those reasons, even though they probably want to. But then I saw this and I was like, maybe this is something they can do, right? Where it's basically a price increase on the Series X, even though I think
a value add.
And you can't like the Series X is also supply constrained. It is a value add, and it is a $100 version of Forza Horizon 5 that you get for an extra $60. Although it's like Forza's older, right? It's over a year old. It's also a game that you can get for free in Game Pass, right? For cheap. But my thought was, okay, kind of in line with what Rick is asking here about Starfield. If you're going to do this with Forza Horizon, a game that already has over like 25 million players or whatever, why not do it for a game that's actually hotly anticipated? Not saying you shouldn't do it for Forza Horizon 5, but if you probably should have done it when Forza Horizon 5 actually came out, when people were super excited for it, which, maybe you should do it for Forza Horizon 6, but whatever. But Starfield is, you would agree with me, the most anticipated game that Xbox is putting out this year, right?
My uncle, who's never owned an Xbox, has literally bought an Xbox Series X for Starfield this past recent quarter. So, yeah, it is definitely a system seller, I think.
Yeah, so my thought was, okay, if they're doing this for Forza Horizon 5, a game that's older, like Punkadish says in the member message here, member for 21 months, he says that Forza bundle is too late. That game is older now. They missed their mark. Have a good day, fellas. Thank you, Punkadish. But it also has to do with supply. The Series X doesn't have a lot of supplies. The Series S, maybe the supply is going to get better this year. So I'm thinking, all right, Starfield, maybe Redfall, maybe Forza, maybe Hellblade, or whatever else. Maybe it's time for Xbox to bundle these games with the console, sell it for $560, and that can be your, quote unquote price increase. Where you pay for $560, you get the game for free, but even though it's in Game Pass, do you think that's realistic? Do you think we'll see an announcement where, hey, there's an Xbox Series X bundle with Starfield and it's releasing, on the day the game actually releases? I don't know. I sort of feel like that's something that could happen, Jez.
I agree. I think that's probably what will happen. It just depends, will this be a limited edition super duper console, or will it just be some kind of cost-saving, good margins kind of bundle? Because you think, Starfield would get, a proper limited edition console, in some form. But those cost money, and it'll eat into the margins if they do want to do it for the reasons you say, where it's about maximizing the return on investment, So could they do that and then sell it at a premium? And but then you might get people saying, "Oh, it's too expensive," blah 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 blah, and stuff like that. But yeah, I can see them doing this a lot more. I mean, did you see what they did in India this past week? Actually, I think it was this week. They raised the price of the Xbox again in India after only
the third time.
Again. Yeah. They've raised it again. And I guess it's I don't know what the market situation is like in India, but clearly it's, something to do with that stuff. But yeah, they've raised it again. And, it kind of reveals the kind of constraints people are under or companies are under with regards to supply chains, inflation and all that kind of stuff. And I suspect increasingly we might see Microsoft put under pressure to match Sony's price increases and stuff. But at the same time, it's like you said, how can they do that when they need they need to have some kind of advantage over PlayStation. The fact that Sony was able to raise prices without even a sliver of criticism, really, from the mainstream. I mean, we all poke fun at it, as Xbox fans, but like nobody really cares. Like, it hasn't dented them at all. Hasn't dented demand of the console even a little bit, despite the the cost of living crisis, which we call it in the UK. I don't know if it's in the media to the same degree that it is in the UK. But we've got this whole sort of debate about how expensive everything is in the UK right now, and I don't remember seeing anyone really complain about what they did to the PlayStation 5. But maybe it's just because most people can't. It's not really that big of a deal anyway. Like if you're spending that much on a console anyway, like a few extra tens of quid, probably not that big of a deal to most people, I guess. But it's it kind of makes you wonder what Microsoft's sitting there thinking, like, if Sony was able to do this and basically get away with it, would we be able to? And like, it's hard to predict that because, like, as we've talked about on the show before, and as we've talked about it, Microsoft can't seem to get away with the same kind of things that Sony can when it comes to some of this stuff, But maybe they can if Sony's already led the charge on it. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I think like they'll probably do it slowly. They'll probably do it with these bundles, like you said, and then maybe if things don't get better, because inflation is expected to come down by about 50% in the UK by the summer. Maybe they won't have to raise the console price. Maybe in the UK, I don't know, but probably won't be raising it in the US. I would imagine they'll probably just take Sony's strategy on that kind of thing. So,
well, I mean, if you're gonna do it, you have to do it with anticipated games, and it would have been great to do it with Forza when it was about to come out. Doing it a little bit later is kind of like, well, who really wants to buy? Like, is anybody really being like, I need Forza Horizon 5? Like, oh, now's my chance to get a Series X with Forza Horizon 5, even though it's the $100 version. But like something like Starfield, where it's not out yet, it is hotly anticipated. That's like, okay, you need to make a bundle for this. Because I do feel there would be people that are looking forward to Starfield who maybe don't have an Xbox yet, who would be like, all right, I'm going to get this. I want the Series X. It comes with, this game. That's what I'm going to go with. Like, they need to do it with, like, like, I hate to say it, but new games, right? I think it's interesting they chose Forza Horizon 5 and not Halo Infinite. Although maybe it's not that interesting considering Halo Infinite's free-to-play multiplayer, but... And, at this point, is Forza Horizon the bigger franchise? Is Forza Horizon bigger than Halo? You can make the argument that indeed it is.
Yeah,
certainly higher placed on the most played charts. Definitely more played. People are playing it more on Steam. So maybe we're in that sort of scenario where
Forza is the flagship franchise.
Forza's, well, outside of like Minecraft and Elder Scrolls and Fallout or whatever. That Forza Horizon is the biggest thing. Speaking of Fallout, as a quick aside here, did you see Jason Schreier's tweet about how if you're a studio starting a game right now, that it would basically you be making it for the next Xbox or the next PlayStation, because that's how long game dev cycles are.
Yeah, I did see that.
And how, we've talked about Elder Scrolls. When we expect that, right? Maybe in 2027, most likely 2028. But then it's like, well, Fallout 5, are we looking at like 2033 for Fallout 5, Jazz? It almost feels like if they need, like, that would be like 15 years, because I think Fallout 4 came out in 2015. To go that long seems like you gotta, like, I don't know, you sort of gotta like either have another studio make it or something, because going that long, because games take way longer to make now than they used to. I feel like not having a new Fallout game until 2030 based on how long dev cycles now is, you need to fix that in some manner.
Yeah, there is no way we'll be waiting that long for a new Fallout. There's just no way. I think what they'll do is, I think Obsidian will end up making it. The fact they've signaled interest in making it. There's been rumors about them being in talks or preliminary talks. I think Jeff Grubb put that out there, that they were in preliminary talks. I think it was Jeff Grubb. and you know, they name checked it in an interview. Fergus, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his surname, but the leader of Obsidian, he literally name checked Fallout. That has to mean something, you know. And it's not like it was back in the day where it was like, you know, they're separate studios completely. Now they're all under the same umbrella, and you know, it's different times. I think like that is a signal that the next Fallout will most likely be an Obsidian game. I would actually bet money on that. That, you know, it's pure, again, this is pure speculation for anyone listening. It's not a leak or anything. I haven't heard anything. I didn't even hear the rumor that they were in preliminary talks. That was entirely someone else, I believe to be Jeff Grubb. So it's not like, you know, take this with a, this is just my opinion, you know. I personally think that, yeah, I think the next game will be from Obsidian, because it's the only recourse that really makes any sense at this point. You know, like, who else would make it? You know, Bethesda's completely swamped with what they're doing. You know, presumably Starfield's going to have some kind of like long tail to it as well. They'll do DLC, they'll do this, they'll do that to keep the game, you know, running and interesting and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like they're going to just launch. They're not just going to launch Starfield and then abandon it. It's going to have like this long tail and all that kind of stuff, I expect. And, you know, and then they've got like their other projects, Elder Scrolls, which is also going to be a big deal, probably with a new, you know, a bigger engine refresh, I would imagine, because that's usually what they do for Elder Scrolls. Is like Elder Scrolls does an engine refresh, and then Fallout co-opts the big engine refresh, you know. I don't know if Starfield is that big engine refresh. You know, I don't know if it is. I think maybe that'll come with Elder Scrolls 6. That'll be the big engine refresh, and then they'll build Fallout on that new engine, possibly. I mean, the cool thing about Creation is that it is the engine you want to use to make these vast, complicated worlds. You know, that's the reason Bethesda games are Bethesda games. It's because of that engine. It's because of the rapid iteration they can do as a result of that engine, right? So, like, while the vast majority of games, like, probably are going to be impacted by the longer dev cycles and stuff, and so will Starfield and Elder Scrolls and Fallout 5 as well, it's a little bit different, I think, for a Creation Engine game because of the engine, because of the things they can do to speed up development, and because of the, you know, presumably Obsidian's already got a lot of people in house who know how to use that engine from the days working on Fallout New Vegas and whatever. So, and yeah, it's not exactly the same engine, but some of the similar principles should apply there anyway. So yeah, I don't think we'll be waiting as long as you would love for me to be waiting for the next Fallout, because you're a massive troll and you're a big meanie. I don't think we'll be waiting that long for it. But yeah, I think they'll come up with some solution to the problem. I mean, speaking of Fallout, did you see the news that NetEase had acquired the co-developer of Fallout 76?
Yes, and also one of the teams that helps out on Minecraft as well as Halo Infinite, Skybox Labs, right?
Yeah, Skybox Labs. So that's going to throw a wrench in the works again. You know, I saw some people saying, "Oh, look, Microsoft missed out on this because of the ABK deal and stuff." And yeah, it's true. They probably did miss out on it because of the ABK deal. But it's also like, what can you do? You know, what can you do about it? It's ABK is going to be worth a lot more than Skybox Labs to the company. But it just sort of, it goes to show like how in demand all these kind of studios are now, because every company, there's like, demand for games is bigger than ever, right? It's never been this big, and it's just massive. It's really, really taken off. It's really hitting the mainstream. Everyone wants to make a game, whether it's a dumb crypto game that Square Enix seems obsessed with, or, you know, a serious game, whatever, for consoles and stuff like that. There's more competition than ever, and there's more interest than ever. But there's a shortage of, you know, high quality developers as well, which is a problem. And there's also a shortage of money because, you know, pandemic, inflation stuff makes it harder to raise capital. Interest rates are insane right now, which makes it harder to get investment, you know. So it's a really strange economy where there is all this demand, but there's not, the funding to make it happen, and there's certainly not the personnel to make it happen. Like I was talking about there being like a shortage of game devs to meet demand before the pandemic. I remember literally having that conversation with someone from a big studio about how like one of the biggest problems they're facing right now is labor. Finding the people and finding the demand from the tech industry, because like if you're a programmer and you've got that skill and that knowledge, it's not just gaming that wants your skills and that knowledge. It's like app platforms, and pretty much every kind of company now has like an internal dev team. Like even we do. Everyone, all these skills are in such high demand, and there's just not people aren't meeting demand. So yeah, it's a crazy economy, and so I don't think like this. I've seen some people say Microsoft should just grow a studio. I think we talked about it on Defining Duke with Mr. Matty Plays, who said like we should push Microsoft to make a studio that's dedicated to Fallout, and like I think that's like it's probably a good long-term solution that probably should happen, but that isn't going to solve getting Fallout 5 out the door.
No.
It's really nice. It'll take ages to grow that studio.
I give Maddie as much shit as I give you about Fallout 5 coming in 2032 or whatever. So it was just something interesting I wanted to just briefly bring up. But I want to give a shout out to like almost 1,500 people watching. Can you do us a big favor? Make sure you hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. And you see about 370 likes, but there's 1,500 of you. So let's get that number up really high before the end of the show. And if you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. It's going to be a great year of content, a great year for gaming, great year for Xbox. We have Danny P says, Sin Vendetta says, speaking of finishing, Jez, did you ever finish Elden Ring? Jez finished games?
Oh, man. No, I didn't. I didn't finish Elden Ring.
If you have to ask the question about Jez finishing the game, the answer is usually 99% of the time, no.
Oh, man. I'll finish it someday. Someday.
Yeah, no, Jez doesn't finish much. So, but we still love him. He played 300 games this year and maybe beat like 2 of them. I think one of them was Peppa Pig. He finished Peppa Pig. So,
I actually didn't finish Peppa Pig.
Okay, you didn't even finish Peppa Pig. All right.
I didn't even finish Peppa Pig. I'm terrible at finishing.
Danny P says, check out the new info on Redfall from Clobril. Yes, this dropped during the show, Jez. Did you see all this stuff?
No, I did not.
So Games Radar has an article up, published about 5 hours ago. It says that Redfall isn't Arcane's Left 4 Dead. It's the studio's spin on Far Cry, which I'm sure that has Jez really excited because we know Jez loves Far Cry. Big in 2023, we speak with Arcane Studios' Harvey Smith and Ricardo Bear to deep dive into Redfall, one of the most anticipated Xbox Series X exclusives this year. So Clobril kind of broke out some of the, I guess the bullet points from the article. So I'll read what Clobril says here, and maybe I'll take some snippets of the article itself. Redfall offers an unfathomably larger open world space than Prey's Talos 1. You have a home base where you can talk to NPCs and get side quests. Because, all right, the thing about Redfall, and you know what, this is also a breakdown on... This is the reason why Microsoft needs to come out here and show these games more. Because ever since the initial review of this game, people have looked at Redfall and they're like, it's basically Left 4 Dead. It's Left 4 Dead with vampires. It's Left 4 Dead. It's Left 4 Dead. It's Left 4 Dead. Right? Even though we got a gameplay trailer at E3 this past year, which to my, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, that's more like Borderlands-ish rather than say Left 4 Dead, because people are just like, oh, it's Left 4 Dead. It's like it's a bad thing, even though Left 4 Dead is one of the best video games ever made. It's like a bad thing, like, oh, it's like they're talking down. It's like, oh, it's just Left 4 Dead, right? But because in that voice, but because Xboxes kind of haven't really talked about their games, not a lot of people really know about what's going on with Redfall or what type of game it is, or what's going on with Starfield or Forza Motorsport and stuff, but I think that's going to be changing really soon. So it goes on to say that you have a home base where you can talk to NPCs and get side quests. You have story-driven missions, and you can free roam. The gunplay is crucial. They hired FPS specialists, and id Software helped. I know one of the criticisms of Arcane game can be that, especially with Deathloop, was that the gunplay wasn't satisfying to a certain degree. Well, what better way than to get some help from id Software, the masters of gunplay. There's a quote here. "We want you creeping through a cornfield at night in the fog, hearing vampires whisper in the dark. Maybe you'll spot a farmhouse in the distance only to find that it's full of cultists and a few trapped survivors who you can save. That's the kind of vibe that Redfall has."
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
It has 2 distinct districts, a sprawling urban area, and a rural designed area. Many of these aspects of Redfall aren't predefined activities, but part of the simulated space. There is a day-night changes. Day-night changes changes the feel of the game radically. There's a dynamic dialogue system of players talking to one another. And then there's another quote saying that if Redfall comes together at the quality level we think it will, then it will be a different beast. It's really tremendous. It does a lot of cool stuff.
I think Games Radar is doing the game a disservice by comparing it to
well, I think it's because
Far
they
Cry.
compared it to Far Cry. I think it's because that's what they.
Right.
They have a quote here. Redfall isn't the video game that you think it is. Following its reveal, the Xbox Series X exclusive has drawn comparisons to Left 4 Dead's of the world. Great games, concedes Arcane creative director Ricardo Bear, but not exactly what the studio is shooting for. Quote, "It's totally understandable for somebody to come to that conclusion. There are 4 playable characters, you can play together cooperatively, and you're going against the undead. But in terms of the way that you play and experience Redfall, it's not like those games at all. Redfall is more like loading into Far Cry."
Man, see, when I think of Far Cry, I think of copy and paste. I think of stories and quests and characters that don't matter. I think of generalized blandness. So I'm like, wondering if they're doing their own game a disservice by saying that, because Arcane's games are not like that. They have memorable characters, they have memorable stories, they have really great world building. Like Prey has some of the best world building I've ever seen in a game, even though it's got like not a huge amount of dialogue in the game, but the world building is just magnificent. So stuff, little tiny details you see at the start of the game end up playing a part like later on, much later on. It's such a clever game. So Ubisoft just doesn't make games like that. Ubisoft games are kind of like, like popcorn almost, I guess. Watching a popcorn sort of action flick, enjoyable to some degree, but it's not like the kind of thing you're going to be talking about, 5 years later, like, oh my god, this was so amazing, like I often do with Prey. So yeah, I think the idea of a good Far Cry is quite interesting. If that's how I'm going to take it, because I don't expect a Ubisoft style Far Cry game from Arcane. If it's like a Arcane sort of, if they keep all the stuff they're known for and all the stuff they're really good at on the scale of a Far Cry, because that's the only things your Far Cry really has going for it. It has like these massive worlds that are they're very pretty. Can't fault it there. And all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of activities to do in Far Cry games, even if like everything else about it just feels super blandy McBland bland.
But that might be because Far Cry's on its 6th iteration, and I think Arcane is an incredible studio, and if that's sort of their vibe that they wanted to go for, then I'm down for it, because at one point Far Cry was amazing. Right?
Yeah, like I enjoy, Far Cry's kind of like, it's like you say, like it's been going for so long that I have to kind of wait a few iterations of it to enjoy it again. Like I didn't play Far Cry for a while, and then I quite enjoyed Far Cry 5 because it was like I'd waited for so long, and I'd skipped a bunch of them. Like Far Cry 4 was awful, but Far Cry 3 was good. I never played Far Cry 1, but Far Cry 2 was. There was like almost like a vision of a good game there, and there were some things that were really cool about the game and what they were trying to do. It's just kind of the execution wasn't there, kind of overall. I actually quite liked Far Cry Primal though. Did you ever play Far Cry Primal?
That's one of the ones I didn't play. There's another quote here. So it says, many of the aspects of Redfall aren't predefined activities, but part of the simulated space. Quote, Redfall sometimes feels like what you'd get if you blended the arcane creative values with Far Cry 2 or Stalker.
Far Cry 2?
That's what he says. Blended the arcane creative values with
more...
Far Cry 2 or Stalker. That's the kind of thing that we wanted to do for a long time. He also talks about co-op, where he says, Harvey and I have been working together for 20 years, and as far as back as working on Deus Ex, I can remember us as a group playing Diablo together. And then over the years, it's been Diablo 2, and then Borderlands, and so on. All these games that are super fun to play in co-op. When we're not working on our own games, we're playing these kind of games together as friends. We were like, how can we make the kind of games that we like to make, but somehow play them together? I live in constant fear that people are going to figure out that we're just D&D players who think video games could be cooler and deeper. D&D is the best co-op game of all time, and I think people would be shocked if they knew how much we've all played D&D together as a group, from Origin Systems to Ion Systems to Arcane. So that's what they're talking about co-op. But they also talk about, they said that the people who worked on Doom came over and gave us feedback a couple times, and we're pretty happy with those results. There's a whole stuff, you check out these articles because it's actually big, but they talk about the power of Game Pass. And this is what they say. It says, Redfall is a different type of game for Arcane, that much is clear, but underpinning every design decision are the studio's creative values and its instinctual lean towards creating immersive simulated spaces, but there's added pressure this time around, owing in part to certain subscription service. Quote, I feel like with Xbox Game Pass, the potential is here for us to say, this is Arcane, and these are our creative values. We can expose a lot of people to the way that we make games. I hope we can turn people onto what we do, deep world creation, environmental storytelling, the emergent results of combat and your powers, and creating lovingly crafted worlds with a sense of real history and character. The pool that Game Pass offers is huge for us. It's kind of shocking and scary in a way. Like, how many people are going to play Redfall in the first week? What if it's a lot more than we anticipated? We're going to get a lot of feedback very quickly, and a lot of people will see what we've spent the last few years on. Redfall is our pandemic game. Redfall is our pandemic game, man. It's easy to forget now, but there were dark days during the pandemic. People in my team were sitting at home alone, losing their minds because we didn't have vaccines yet, and nobody was sure what it meant for their kids and the economy. The team carried each other through it. ZeniMax, Bethesda, and Microsoft were very good to us during that difficult time. Now that we're on the other side of it, the last thing I got to do here is ship Redfall.
I mean, that's all sounds really positive to me. Like, the fact that he specifically said Far Cry 2 is interesting to me, because that Far Cry 2 was the one that felt like it had the most soul.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, like there was something about Far Cry 2 that it's difficult to even put my finger on it. It had like this Heart of Darkness vibe to it that, like, I don't think any of the other Far Cry games really captured, even though many aspects of the game were sort of tuned poorly or even broken in some cases. So, like, there was something truly immersive about Far Cry 2. Like, when you had to, like, get out and repair your vehicle and stuff like that, and manage your malaria infection and stuff like that. Like, even though it was like, it became a little bit of a chore, and it was repetitive, especially because, like, a lot of the animations to get the pills are just recycled over and over and over again, probably indicative of its budget. But there was something really immersive about that, which no other Far Cry games really captured. But the studio that does capture immersion is Arcane. The one thing that Arcane doesn't do well is market their games.
Well,
because I've said this multiple times. Arcane kind of makes these unmarketable games. I didn't understand how Deathloop was not a regular shooter right up until the time of playing it. I didn't get it. I was like, what are they going for here? Okay, it's a roguelike, but how is it a roguelike? How can you do a roguelike in the setting? And that kind of thing. Like, I couldn't. The marketing just didn't explain it very well, or what I saw of it anyway. And I kind of feel the same way about Prey. Like, a lot of people said to me, like, a lot of people looked at Prey and thought this is going to be Half-Life. It's going to be a shooter or pure shooter or whatever. But the very first area in Prey kind of throws these like higher level enemies at you, which you can't really. They're not easy to kill, with the tools you're given at the start of the game, unless you like abuse the environment. And it does give you the tools to do that, like the glue gun. You can block doorways, you can set traps, you can use like the gas pipes to blow them up and stuff like that, which do way more damage than any of the weapons you've got at the start of the game. So it kind of like, it's almost like, it's a stealth, almost like it's a pure immersive sim in the sense of like the classic Deus Ex and stuff like that. But a lot of people didn't get that. A lot of people thought they were going for the whole like Half-Life vibe or BioShock even. I saw it compared to BioShock constantly, maybe because of the aesthetic a little bit and stuff like that. So I think some people felt slighted by Prey at the start of the game because it was just like, oh well, I've got a glue gun. What do I do with it? Sort of thing. And I don't know, but they seem to make these like games that don't translate well unless you're actually shown it. And for some reason, they just haven't been shown it. They've been giving us these little teasers and stuff, and these like brief glimpses at gameplay. But there's not been any like serious walkthrough, like a 15 minutes of like intro gameplay with like someone narrating exactly what's going on. And maybe that's because like they're deep in development and they don't have time to make a vertical slice or whatever that would translate well into a sort of narrated 15-minute gameplay sort of explainer in the vein of like Todd Howard explaining Fallout or Skyrim or whatever. But that's the problem you've got, when you don't invest or some time in doing that. I don't know who to blame there. Labor shortage, priorities, whatever. Like what it is, right? Whatever the pros are, I'm sure they've made the right decision for their team. But the cons are pretty clear. Everyone thinks it's Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, well,
which ain't good.
Well, but first I got to give a big shout out to Respawn Dead with a absolutely ridiculous $200 super chat.
Oh my god!
That says Happy New Year.
That's my card.
Happy New Year. Thank you very much for the support. That is absolutely crazy. That is absolutely staggering.
Your biggest ever?
I think Gaming Forte actually donated on accident one time $500. I'm not sure, but that is.
But you paid him back, right?
I think he did one of those things where you like you'd say the credit card was stolen or something. Or something like that, or whatever. But wow, that is very generous. Thank you very much, Respawn Dead, for the super chat, and I hope you have a happy New Year as well. But yeah, all reading all this stuff. Look, I told you from day one, Jez. Who's had faith in Arcane? Me. Even that first showing, I was like, dude, whatever. It's Arcane. I'm down day one for whatever they make. They haven't disappointed me yet. So reading more and more about this game and how it's like Far Cry 2 and Stalker and I'm just like, yeah, they're gonna nail this game out of the park, even though like some of the co-op stuff might be a little bit limited and whatever. But the more I hear about this game, the more I feel I was right from the beginning. But you are right. We need to learn more about this. We need to see this in motion, and I think we will. Whether it's at the game showcase later this month, or maybe Redfall gets its own game showcase. But yeah, you have to put this like issue to bed of like, oh, people think it's Left 4 Dead. And it's more like this. So it's, maybe it's the start because here's an interview beginning of the year. So, yeah, but I think everybody in chat too are now like, well, now I'm really excited, for.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more excited
Redfall,
for now.
right? So, yeah, we have a VM Cisco, who's been a member for Simcoe, member for 29 months, says Happy New Year. Looking forward to Xbox in 2023. I think we all are. There's another member chat here. Radimus Cisco, member for 18 months, says, okay, now I'm super interested in Redfall. That sounded amazing. D&D is supreme. And Respawn Dead just dropped another $200 super chat.
Oh my god.
He says, it's all good. I appreciate the content from the Best Xbox podcast. Wow. Now I'm just, that's crazy, but thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. We do the show for all of you and, and for the fun that I have talking to Jez and talking to you guys. But, so I'm at a loss for words because that is That's quite amazing. Um,
That's awesome.
We also have Julian says, Jez, I don't know, you haven't watched Vinland Saga yet, but he says Vinland Saga 2 comes out January 9th on Netflix. I did see that.
Ooh.
I watched Glass Onion last night. I did see Vinland Saga Season 2 is coming. Can't wait to watch that. Carlos says, geez, spill the beans, Jez. Starfield that good? Because you put out a tweet that said, hey, I'm hearing some things about Starfield and it's sounding pretty good. You want to expound on that, Jez? Or you just want to keep that quiet? Nope, you're going to...
Gonna keep that quiet.
Gonna keep
bro.
that quiet. All right, fair enough.
Sorry, guys, but yeah, I am increasingly excited for Starfield based on the excitement of others who may have experienced more than any of us so far. So yeah,
that is
I think
true.
It's going to show up nicely.
What we have Pony Detector saying ponies. Then we want Xbox to compete. Ponies in 2023. Xbox has too many exclusives. Starfield deserves to be on PlayStation. Ponies. Well, okay. Kaloki says Jez Kuhn, the guy who doesn't stop playing WoW since Jesus' birth, says there's not enough time in a day to watch 1,000 episodes of pure greatness. Eye emoji. Okay. Hood Ninjachi says, should my first Fallout experience be Fallout 4 or 76? I would say Fallout 4, right?
I would wait for the Fallout 4 remaster bundle that's coming out in spring, isn't it? Is it spring that game's coming out? They're doing like a bundle, a remaster bundle of Fallout 4. So I would wait for that. I'm gonna get back into it then.
Yes.
For that, I think.
Yeah.
Don't play the current version. You might as well wait for the remaster.
Might as well. RRD says Happy New Year's. PS by accident and not on accident. Okay. Well, you know what? Looking at some of these topics, let's talk about Starfield. Let's talk about well, you know what? No, let's talk about Fable really quickly. Because
Fable. There was some discourse about Fable.
Some discourse about Fable this week that people were blaming you on, Jez.
Who's that?
People, in some of the Discords I'm in, people elsewhere. Well, anyways, I'll set this up, okay? So, friend of the show, the one and only Idle Sloth, decided to tweet a rumor. This is why you shouldn't tweet everything that comes across that you see, Sloth, because a lot of stuff is not true, especially stuff from 4chan, right? Because there was something from 4chan the other day that was like, Xbox done. I hate to tell you guys, but Xbox is closing shop. Phil's retiring at the end of the month. They're selling off the studios. Like, basically, like, Xbox is finished. And it's like, yeah, anybody can go to 4chan and make anything up, right? Obviously, that one rumor didn't catch fire because people are smart. But, man, this Fable one started off by basically saying, hey, Fable development has been restarted, right? Because the team has deemed that the current build of Fable is unplayable, right? And that they are now moving over to Unreal Engine 5, because this seems to be a band-aid for all games, just like, oh, well, we're switching over Unreal Engine 5. Not only that, but the game was only a quarter of the way done as of like September of 2022, so only a few months ago, a quarter of the way finished, and that they're moving Unreal Engine 5, but the game is still going to come out next year. So the game doesn't work. It's only a quarter done. They're restarting everything over, moving Unreal, but somehow the game's still going to be finished by next year. So I saw that, and I'm like, number one, it's 4chan. 9 times out of 10, it's wrong. Not saying that 4chan doesn't get stuff right, because there are instances that they do. But basically, like, nobody's going to believe this, right? But people did. People started spreading this, because one of the things people love to do, especially PlayStation fans have two favorite pastimes, and I'm not sure which one. Not all PlayStation fans, mind you, right? Not the normal ones, but I'm not sure what PlayStation fans enjoy more. Talking about the greatness that PlayStation delivers with their games, or shit-talking Xbox. Because it seems like they do both at the same time, but I'm not sure which one they actually like more. Because there are definitely accounts out there that talk, like PlayStation accounts, that talk more about Xbox than they talk about PlayStation. They just can't keep Xbox out of their mouths, right? But it started to spread because you had PlayStation guys, be like, "See, told you, Xbox doesn't know what they're doing. Matt Booty, Phil Spencer should be fired. Mismanagement, all the talking points." You had Xbox fans worried because, well, let's be honest, we haven't heard much about Fable since its reveal in 2020. We haven't really heard much about any of the Xbox games this past year, and I think 2022 broke a lot of Xbox fans. Like, judging from some of the reactions I see, some of the people and what they're saying, I think delaying Starfield and Redfall and not having anything else, I think broke some fans to the point where they're like, yeah, I'll believe anything. Starfield delayed, Redfall delayed, Halo delayed. Why not? Well, of course, Fable doesn't work. Of course it's being restarted and blah, 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 blah. Right? Why not? And people just kind of started talking about it. It went crazy. It came out later that, Christopher Dring said it wasn't true, and I think Alex from Digital Foundry said it wasn't true, and then the next day you came out and were like, I can hard confirm it's not true. All that stuff. But a lot of people were upset with you because you had said that it's 4chan lol, but I could see this being true. A lot of people were essentially like, because here's the thing, Jez, and I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm just saying this is what they're saying, is that you're viewed as a leader in the Xbox community. You're viewed as someone who has a lot of inside information about a lot of different things. So people come to you for information about what's going on in Xbox. And when you have a rumor like this that states something horrible about a game, right, that, would be devastating, even though Matt Booty literally said 2 months ago, the game's looking great, he can't wait to show it, it certainly would make Matt Booty look like the biggest liar in the world if he said that during Skillup's podcast and then they had to restart from scratch because the game was unplayable. It would make him look like a liar. But a lot of people look to you to kind of like, okay, is this true? Because Jez knows he has all this insider stuff. And when you said that I wouldn't be surprised if it was true, people really got, oh, well, that's confirmation. Jez wouldn't say this if he didn't know. People were basically saying that if you don't know something, you shouldn't speak on it, because when you speak with authority based on your previous knowledge of things that you know about Xbox. So you can't have idle musings. You can't just
idle musings.
Yeah, just like, oh, it could be true, because people look at what you say about things and they assume you know what's going on. So you can't just throw out random things like you said. I'm just saying that's what people say. Even though you said you're like, it's 4chan lol, but maybe I could see it being true. That's what people were saying. That you're at that point now where you can't just say those things. And I'm like, lol, do you know, Jez? Twitter's his thing. He just says whatever he wants to say about anything. What do you?
Why is Elon Musk allowed to do it? He's the richest man in the world, and you say no, I can't do it.
I'm just saying. Anyway, that's what people, people look to you, and I mean, what do you think?
I mean, the reason I said I wouldn't be surprised is because I have heard it's been pretty hard going. The development's been pretty hard going. I've written before that I've heard from from people both past and present on the project that using Forza Tech was not a completely it wasn't without its problems, and it wasn't forced upon them, by the way. I've seen speculation on that front. It wasn't forced upon them. Playground did, it was their choice to use Forza Tech, but that came with some realities. For example, Forza Tech didn't have systems that you need to make an action RPG, which means those systems would have to be made from scratch. It's not like, if you're using an established product like, Unreal Engine. And we've heard all these things about Halo Infinite. And one of the issues with Halo Infinite being that they cycle contractors in and out and then they have to be trained on the engine again, and trained on the engine again, trained on the engine again, because it's not industry standard stuff. Like the Slipspace engine, it's not industry standard stuff, and neither is Forza Tech. Forza Tech is not an industry standard product. So, like, if you are going through these rapid changes in personnel, which the whole industry seems to be being right now, with regards to like the churn and employee churn, that's where that came from. I was like, well, I wouldn't be surprised if this was true, that the engine is a troublesome, and because there have been all these weird rumors about Halo moving to Unreal Engine, which I still can't ascertain whether or not it's true, to this day. I said last week, it's my Moby Dick rumor, the rumor that Halo could move its pipeline to Unreal Engine. There seems to be smoke, and where there's smoke, there's fire, and it kind of made me wonder, like, well, if they're moving Halo to Unreal Engine, maybe they would be moving Fable as well. But yeah, it wasn't based on anything concrete. But one thing I did get concrete as a result of me tweeting that was that someone on the project reached out to me and was just like, nah, this ain't true, So, and yeah, and other people put that out there as well. But I hadn't seen that. And, I don't really know what anyone else said or how reliable they are or whatever. So I just, put out my information that was shared with me that, yeah, it isn't true. But yeah, I thought me prefacing it with yeah, it's 4chan. You should never take anything 4chan says at face value. Like 4chan itself says that. Like, if you go on the website, there's a disclaimer, or at least there used to be a famous disclaimer back in the day, where it's just like everything here should be taken as a falsehood, It's or something to that effect. So yeah. It was just a load of nothing, really. And that's generally the case with 99% of rumors that come out of 4chan. Occasionally, there is someone using a trip code or something where it's like, someone who's consistently leaked actual real information. But that's quite rare, I think. In amongst the deluge of stuff that is just people making wish lists, spreading FUD and that kind of stuff, right? But it's kind of like the climate we're in right now is kind of perfect for FUD, because there is no information. People are so desperate for some morsel of news, anything, good or negative, that it becomes discourse, because people need clicks. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to write about. So if there is like a little rumor in a day where there's nothing to write about, even if it's an article that debunks the rumor, it's going to get picked up, and then it's spread, and then it's going to be people offering their take on said rumor, like stuff like that. And yeah. So maybe you're right. Maybe I should be more responsible. But I have this policy, Rand. I have a policy, and it served me pretty well.
Okay.
It's got me into trouble sometimes.
What's the policy?
The policy is just to be my real, authentic self, 24/7, with no compromises.
That's good policy.
Because if you lie, if you fake things, if I think like I want to tweet this, and then I overthink it and think, oh well, maybe I shouldn't tweet this, blah blah blah, maybe I shouldn't do it. I kind of feel like I'm not being authentic. Like when people ask me questions, I usually just respond with the first thing that comes to mind. I try not to overthink it, because I don't want to manipulate the result, right? I don't want to manipulate this stuff. So I do tend to just tweet everything I think. And that, yeah, it has gotten me into trouble. But it's also presented me with a lot of opportunities. And I also think it's like, it's kind of important to be, it's important to me to be as real as possible on social media, because so many people just ain't, and it's fine if like people can do whatever they want, if people want to really like be careful about how they present themselves online, and maybe that's the smart choice. Maybe I'm like really dumb for doing it this way, but it's my personal value. My personal value is I want to be as real as I can be on social media. Maybe that's really dumb. Maybe it is. I really don't know, but that's why I tweeted that, because it's literally what I thought. I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. It literally went through my head. It's not like I wanted to spread, fear about the game, because, I want it to be good. But that's the first thing that I thought. So I just tweeted it. So if people are mad at me for tweeting what I think, well, fine, I guess.
I guess what people are just saying is like maybe you should have just before you tweeted something, you should have looked into it before you gave your opinion. I guess I don't know. I understand your perspective.
I don't have sources at Playground usually.
Right. And you tweeted it out, cost somebody to come to tell you. I understand because, like, you have like 82,000 followers on Twitter. People come to you as like, they're like, okay, Jez, knows a lot about Xbox. So like they were hoping you would come out and put a kibosh on it immediately, being like, this is bullshit. And when you and I agree with you, like what you said, you weren't saying it was true. You were just like, it's 4chan lol, but hey, I could see it being true. People were just.
So I think like why is this such a big deal? Like,
I don't know.
At the end of the day, either it was going to be true or it wasn't.
Yeah, true.
If it is true, then GG. But if it isn't true, then who cares? It's just another dumb internet rumor of which there are thousands every single day.
But definitely,
if you get upset because Sony fanboys get a win out of some rumor that isn't even true, then that's a you problem.
This kind of
it's not my problem. It's a you problem, bro.
This kind of goes because I mentioned in my video about this. I was like, if you just thought about it for a second, the whole timeline thing. It was just like, well, that's bullshit, and like the whole thing's just bullshit. But it definitely does seem like, and I said, if it was a positive Fable rumor, like let's imagine the Reddit post was, I've played Fable or I've seen Fable, and it's going to redefine action RPGs. And it's going to put Playground on the map as one of the best developers in gaming. And you won't believe how amazing it is. Like, imagine if it was just a rumor about Fable that was incredible. The only people that would be talking about it would be Xbox fans. But, like, nobody else would care. Because it does a lot of positive things that Xbox do, they don't trend as much as the negative things, because I know people are always looking to dunk on Xbox because it's the accepted thing, after the year they had, after the generation they had, and this kind of goes with what we talked about last week to a certain extent about goalpost moving. Starfield comes out, it's a 90 meta, it doesn't count. But if Starfield comes out and it's a 70 meta and it's not good, oh, well, Xbox ruined them. Where it's like, no matter what happens, you can't give any credit for the good things that happen, but they get the blame for all the bad things that happen, and people love the bad stuff. So when you saw this rumor and it blew up, and people were just like, yeah, whatever, I could, it's like, yeah, of course it's true, because Xbox is shit. Because even now, I still see people being like, they assume this is true, even though it's been debunked, because they want to believe it's true. It's like they want to believe that Xbox doesn't know what they're doing, that Phil Spencer is an idiot, that Matt Booty is the worst choice ever for running the studios, that every single one of their projects are mismanaged, that every single one of their projects are going to take 6 years to come out, and when they do come out, they're all going to be 60 meta. Like, they, in their soul, need to believe that because they want it to be true, because they don't want Xbox to actually be good, so they love making fun of it. And I understand some people do it to troll, whatever, but they want it to be true, even though you should really want the opposite. You should be like, well, I would much rather want the game to be actually great instead of like being shit. But some people revel in the chaos, I guess. So
I've never once thought to myself, I hope this game is bad.
Neither have I.
I've never once thought that in my life. It's such a strange position to take. Like, I either think nothing or I think I hope it's good. If I'm not interested in the game, yeah, like I don't really care about FIFA, the next FIFA being good or not. I hope it's good for FIFA fans. I hope they scale back on the predatory monetization and all that kind of stuff, but we all know that's not going to happen. But I've never once thought, man, I would love it if this game is bad so I can dunk on social media. That's such a strange little boy mentality.
Yeah, well, it's because those people have sad lives, man. Sad lives. Yeah.
Like Greta says, small dick energy. Yeah. That's what she said, right?
So that's the stuff with Fable. Now we need to talk about Starfield, because
Did we already talk about Starfield?
No, we haven't, because you wrote, I think you might have wrote an article, or maybe it was somebody else. I talked about it in my video. Basically, people are wondering when the release date is, if it's actually, because like Redfall got delayed, or Redfall really didn't get delayed. They pushed Redfall to May internally, but they never gave a date. And people just assume that there's no way Starfield can launch when they say it's going to launch. That Xbox is going to break their promise of launching games within the next year from this past E3. So everybody's like, Starfield, no way it's coming by June. It's definitely going to be September or October. We don't know, because Xbox has been very quiet. Well, the support page on Bethesda's website went live for Starfield with a lot of questions about the game, and one of them was, when is Starfield's release date? And it says that Starfield releases exclusively on the Xbox Series X and S and PC in the first half of 2023. So reiterating that once again, Starfield is, I guess, on target to come out by the end of June.
Well, go ahead, Rand.
Well, I mean, I don't know the release date.
Go ahead, Rand.
Oh, yeah. Our little bet, because you bet last week that, well, it was just whatever. You took the opposite of me. I said it was going to come. You said it was going to get delayed. And if I win, I get a little $10 bet. So it's looking good, because my thought process was, okay, you're going to have to update this, because I think pre-orders for Starfield are going to open up really soon. I think pre-orders for Redfall are going to open up soon, because I think we'll get that information relatively soon from,
If you had to bet when Starfield's pre-orders opened by, when would you say?
That's a good question.
Starfield and Redfall, when are the pre-orders going to open?
My initial thinking is the day of the whatever this Xbox showcase is, which maybe even showcase isn't the right word, because a lot of people think
Let's call it Xbox Direct.
Xbox Direct, because it's going to be, I think it's going to be smaller. Like, I know people are thinking like E3 level. Ain't going to be no E3 level. There's only one E3. The big show's going to be in June. This is going to be something way smaller. Yes. There's a good chance
it even exists.
Yeah, there'd be a good chance it would be, they could open up pre-orders. Hell, they could open up pre-orders next week if they really wanted to, but more like, hey, here's a foot. I also think Starfield's going to get its own event at some point. Maybe they do it then. But
that's an interesting prediction, Rand.
Well, I mean, it's not really an interesting prediction, because we've been saying this is something that Xbox needs to do. How many times have we said you need to showcase, you need to kind of take your games and because the way Sony does it is Sony kind of has these individual showcases for their games. So it kind of gives them this aura that these are big experiences, and it's something Xbox hasn't done. Well, at least I feel that way. Right?
Interesting.
So we've talked about it on the last show. We've talked about it before. I think they absolutely need to like have a standalone Starfield show, a standalone Redfall show, a standalone Forza show at some point. But we'll get into my predictions, because I wrote some stuff down. That we're not talking about my predictions now. They'll be talking about them later.
Your predictions.
Yeah, well, I literally wrote them down, and some of them are going to be 100% wrong. Some of these the whole thing might be completely wrong.
I see what you're doing.
What am I doing?
That's very Machiavellian of you, right?
Machiavellian? What are you talking about?
Yeah. So you're gonna sprinkle some intentionally wrong.
No.
Let me finish. You're gonna sprinkle some intentionally wrong information in your predictions, so you can come back and be like, "See, I'm not an insider. I got this wrong. I got that wrong. I got this wrong. I see what you're doing, Rand. I see you.
That's not what I was thinking. I'm not that Machiavellian. I was just writing some stuff down. So,
yeah. Okay. Cool, man.
All right, whatever. We got a super
we could
chat.
play a game. We could play a game. Which of Rand's predictions are actually predictions?
All
of them are Machiavellian? Which of them are red herrings or Rand herrings? We'll call them Rand herrings. It's kind of like red herrings. Rand herrings.
This isn't.
See what I did there? So it's like I'm a writer or some shit. I don't know.
Maybe they're all red herrings. Maybe I'm trying to.
No, Rand herrings.
Maybe I'm trying to lose this Randall Insider thing because I'm not. So maybe they're all wrong.
Oh man. Well, that'd be very Machiavellian of you.
Dead Planet says, even if it's a direct, is there a one more thing? ? I don't. Your guess is as good as mine. We'll find out eventually. Hopefully, because didn't you reply? You reply to a tweet from Jez being like, it was a Simpsons gif, and it was like, oh, when February rolls around, but there's still no more information about the Xbox show or whatever. And you replied with, I don't think you have to wait long or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a prediction, bro. I'm not inside of what you're talking about.
I'm not. I don't know how many times I got to explain this. But I mean, this isn't me saying I think Starfield's going to have its own show. Isn't like, I've been saying that since they hired this new person, like Tina Amini, right? Because we've talked about how they need to have more showcases, and I've talked about how they need to make their games bigger, right? And Starfield's the biggest game that they're going to be putting out this year, the biggest game that they're probably going to be putting out in quite some time, the biggest new IP release for Xbox since Gears. Like, you need to show the world just how big it is, and just, if it was PlayStation would have a dedicated show to it. They'd have their own state of play that was 45 minutes long with Todd Howard going over every little bit about Starfield, presenting the game as this marquee, huge event, the event of the year, like God of War was presented as, or Horizon was presented as. So this isn't anything new, Jazz. I've been saying this for quite some time.
Sounding a little bit defensive there.
I'm not being defensive. I'm just saying we've talked about this on multiple
Okay.
You've agreed with me.
I believe you, bro.
Agrograph says the man with the Machiavellian. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Everyone's saying you're playing 4D chess now.
Yeah, I'm not playing any sort of chess. No thought went to any of this. But either way, if you go to the Starfield help page, the question says it's going to be releasing first half of the year. I will say, oh my God, it would be so embarrassing, Jez. It would be so embarrassing for Xbox if they delay the game and then they said it's coming in the next 12 months, and then out of nowhere the help page gets updated just randomly, reconfirming it's coming in the first half of the year, only for them to delay the game once more, breaking their promise from E3 and basically having their health page wrong. It would be embarrassing for that to happen. So,
but I would win $10.
You would win $10. Although, would you though? Because I also pay $30 for the Patreon, and maybe you don't have to.
I already account for that.
Do you really though? Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
And also there are currency fluctuations to account for, right?
Currency fluctuations. Well, it's a good thing that the currency of the Patreon is in US dollars and not British pounds.
Yeah,
or
but it becomes British pounds when it's my PayPal. So if you actually lose money because of that.
Damn
and
it.
I lose money as well.
Morse Cola says would love news on Everwild soon. I'm sure everybody would.
Yeah, Everwild's becoming like the next Scalebound, kind of. And that's not to say I think it's going to be cancelled, but it's just kind of like, well, like, where is this game kind of thing? I don't know, because the time dilation between man, that's probably not the wrong word to use there, but the time difference between Scalebound being announced and then Scalebound being like shown off was quite big, if I remember correctly. I remember like thinking like, man, when are we ever going to see this game? Like back in the day, back when I was a little noob blogger and stuff. A lot of people are saying I'm drunk. I actually am not drunk. I'm really not. I've had like one miniature of rum at the very start of the podcast. I'm just in a really good mood for once. That's the honest answer right now. I'm in a really good mood, Rand. I'm actually in a really good mood. Things are going well right now for me, and I'm pretty happy about it.
Well,
anyway.
I'm happy you're happy. So,
I'm happy you're happy. I'm happy.
You know what? Let's should we well, we got a super chat here from Sith Lord says Xbox show coming soon, just like GoldenEye. Well, hopefully GoldenEye never releases, just so Special Nick can just be upset. It's funny, Special Nick retweeted something about the Gears card, and MVG Modern Vintage Gamer is like, "Is this the Gears collection?" And then like Nick replied with the Justin Timberlake gift, just like, and I replied to Nick being like, "Yeah, Nick, is this your rumored Gears collection?" And he told me, he's like, "Can you go away?" I'm like, "No, I'm never going away. Sorry."
Oh man.
Um,
Yeah, I said that too. That is the Gears collection. It's the Gears card game. I think Nick, when Nick was looking into this rumor, he must have seen
yeah.
he must have seen collecting and being like, oh my god, that's a Gears collection.
It says
Gears
collect.
collection.
That means Gears collection. Yeah, it says Gears collect, but left off the card game part. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, poor Nick. Nah, we love Nick.
So if you guys are enjoying the show, we have like way over 1,500, or at least we did at one point, which is amazing. Make sure you hit the like button, and please subscribe if you're new. Hope you guys are enjoying this podcast. It means a lot to us if you are. And, if you're listening to this later on iTunes or Spotify, make sure you give us a, 5-star if you want. It would help us out. You know what? Let's just jump into Xbox 2023 predictions, shall we? Let's just go right into it. Let's roll right into the predictions.
Oh, no.
So have you thought of any in this whole time since I told you we were doing this? Have you thought of any predictions or?
No.
You haven't thought of any? This is what Jez does. I'm like, hey, we're going to do a prediction show. Come up with some predictions. And he's like, why? And I'm just like, come on, it'll be fun. So
I'll do it off the top of my head.
All right, you do it off the top of your head. All right. I'll go first, okay? And you can discuss this. So I just wrote some stuff down here. I don't know if any of this is going to be right. Probably going to be wrong. But my first prediction, which probably isn't really a surprise, I think Xbox will have a show or a direct sometime at the end of this month, January. What do you think? Specific. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I agree. I think we could even hear it. If it is real,
they'd have to announce it soon. Yeah.
They'd have to announce it pretty soon, maybe even as soon as next week, I would have thought. But man, if it's not real, I'm blaming you. Right?
Okay, so that's one of my predictions. Xbox Direct, or whatever they're going to call it, end of January. What do you think? What's a Jez prediction for 2023?
We're going to take it in turns.
Yeah, why not? Taking in turns.
I think this is the year that we start hearing about a new Xbox hardware.
Really?
Not from Microsoft themselves, potentially.
Okay. So you're saying from leakers? Are you saying this year, 2023, is the year that someone is going to leak about new Xbox hardware? Are we talking
mid-gen
upgrade? So a mid-gen upgrade? Are we talking like a Series X Slim? That's interesting.
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't have that in my predictions. I actually didn't have like a hardware redesign or mid-gen upgrade. That's interesting. I like that. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm down for that.
Not from Microsoft, but I think the development cycle is getting to a point now where things might get a little bit leaky for it. I would have thought maybe, possibly.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe this year.
Wow, it's interesting that you say that almost.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
How many teraflops will this mid-gen Xbox have? 20?
50,000.
50,000. What was how many does the 4080 have? Isn't it like 92 teraflops?
Yeah. It's going to have 50,000 teraflops. It's going to be a quantum computer GPU or some shit. I don't know.
Do you think?
I have no idea. Don't ask me about specs and shit. I suppose the question is like, what kind of mid-gen upgrade is it going to be? Is it just going to be like a slimmer model, same internals, that's sort of like maybe a little bit cheaper to manufacture and stuff like that? That's honestly in the ballpark of what I might expect. Something that's like not hugely different architecturally, like maybe not more powerful. I really like Tom Henderson's rumor about the diskless PlayStation with the external disk drive as an optional add-on. I think that's something Microsoft could do as well, and it's probably something they've thought about, especially after seeing the success of the Series S, which has no disk drive. I think the whole idea of discs is pretty much close to sailing now. But I don't think they'll completely kill the retail market. I think they will sell a separate disk drive, because at the end of the day, you don't run the games from the disc. Not fast enough. It runs off the SSD. They're just there to license the game and install it, and even in some cases, not even install it. A lot of games these days don't even have the game on the disc. They've just got a little license. So yeah, I think that is one aspect of it. Maybe disklessness, and that's not based on anything. That's just based on the fact that PlayStation's going down that route, and you have to assume Microsoft's looking at it, considering they've already made a diskless Xbox Series S. It only just makes sense, right? But yeah, could it be? I would be interested if, like, here's what I think they should do.
Okay.
With a mid-gen upgrade, I think maybe they should add more system resources, but for the operating system. And maybe the next upgrade version is the first version that has a new dashboard that can actually have extra features, and then you lead with that dashboard into the next gen. Because the big problem with the dashboard right now is that it's still kind of like, it's not as slow as the amount of resources allocated for the Xbox One by any means, but it's still bottlenecked. It's still stranglehold by that stuff, and I think it's still limited by what it can be because of that. So maybe that's something they could do to upgrade it, or I don't know. But yeah, as for power, I don't know if they'd change the power necessarily, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I mean, it's just a prediction, right? So it may not even be true.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it might not have been true. Yeah, of course.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, it's your turn now. What's your turn?
My next prediction is that Xbox is going to have more individual game showcases this year. So I think Starfield will have its own show. I think Redfall will have its own show. I think Forza will have its own show. I think, I think the big games that Xbox is doing, they'll have their own showcases.
So like Nintendo Direct style, like where they do Pokemon Direct, or
like a state of play that
Direct,
is just strictly about one thing. I think you'll finally have that this year from Xbox.
Interesting.
And that'll move forward. So I mean, I guess maybe you could say that falls in line with the Xbox Direct, but whatever. Those are two things that I feel like are going to happen. So give me another prediction, Jez. So we got prediction 1 from Jez is new hardware leaks this year. What's your prediction number 2?
I think this year we see Avowed gameplay.
Ooh, I like that.
One of the events.
Okay.
Finally. I think we see maybe I think the Wandering Tower Project Belfry will launch this year.
Oh, will come out this year. All right. I like that. More games the better. I'm down for that. Yeah.
I think yeah, okay. That's 2. You just had 2 predictions, so it's your turn now.
Okay, fair enough. My next prediction is about Starfield.
Oh.
And I think when Starfield releases, it'll get a 90 meta, and it'll be releasing in April.
April.
I've been saying June for whatever. I'm just going to have a little bit of fun. June is a little bit boring, so I'm going to say, you know what? It's coming in April. Redfall's the one that leapfrogged it, so why not? I'm having fun with these predictions, Jazz. And by the way, Sloth, if you're watching this, these are just predictions. They're just stuff I've completely made up. Jez have made up. No need to tweet this out. Well, at least don't tweet out my predictions. You can tweet out Jez's if you want.
No, don't tweet mine out either.
Don't even tweet Jez's out. Don't tweet mine or Jez's out. We're just having fun.
Tweet Rand's.
These are all wrong. Don't even bother, Sloth, because if you do, I'll say bad Sloth, bad tweet. Take this down. This is just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Don't read anything into this. These are just predictions. So, Starfield 90 meta and releasing in April. There you go.
I think as well. I agree with you that Starfield hit 90 meta.
Okay.
but I think there'll be controversy about it.
Ooh, controversy. Interesting.
Yeah, because I think it's going to have a user-generated content platform similar to Roblox, similar to Minecraft, where people can make and sell mods. Now, if you remember, Fallout and Elder Scrolls had that thing called the Creation Club, right? And it was very controversial with the modding community, who feel like, it's sort of... I'm not exactly 100% sure why it was so controversial, but we live in different times now. Roblox is huge, absolutely massive, and like one of the biggest IPOs like for a video game company going public, maybe ever, I want to say. And that is an entire content platform based around user-generated content. So I personally think that Starfield's going to do the same, and I think that's why the game world's as big as it is. I think the whole reason it's a galaxy-sized game, and it'll still have like the handcrafted stuff that we all love Bethesda for. But I think a lot of those planets that they were talking about being blank or randomly generated or whatever, that's going to be used for user-generated content. That's my prediction, just based on the way the industry's been going. Could be completely wrong. Maybe Bethesda got really cold feet after the whole Creation Club debacle, but yeah, I think that's one of the things they'll announce for it, and I think that'll be controversial in some circles.
Okay, fair enough. I like that. All right. I'm gonna say next prediction: Hellblade 2 releases in September this year.
This year?
This year, Hellblade 2 releases in September this year.
Damn, that's bold.
That's
bold,
me going out on a limb. That's my game. My number one most anticipated. Screw it, whatever. I'm saying it. Hellblade 2 this year, September. Big holiday game, or close to the holidays you can get.
Well, I wouldn't make that prediction. So
what?
You're on your own with that. You're on your own with that one, bro.
Why would you say that?
What do you mean? I think that's very optimistic that it will launch this year. But hey, I would like it to. But yeah, I think that's optimistic.
You don't like Hellblade. You've already talked about how it's just a walking sim to you, and you don't like it. So whatever.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to launch this year, bro.
I mean, what makes you think that? Do you have information that you don't think it's coming this year? Like, what's going on?
No, not really. Just pessimism.
Just a personal gut, a jazz gut feeling, essentially.
Pessimism, pandemic, the fact they've had to build a whole new studio and from scratch. Well, they didn't have to, but they did build a new studio and moved into it and all that kind of stuff the last few years. It feels like that's probably slowed down development a little bit, but hey, I could be completely wrong.
Maybe. Space Dovikin wants to know, Jazz, is Starfield going to be filmic? I'm assuming he's talking about frame rate. 30 frames, 60 performance mode.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Okay.
My prediction is that Starfield is filmic, that it is 30 frames, and it won't have a performance mode.
Oh, you're hurting me. You're hurting me.
That's my prediction. But that's based on nothing, by the way. I have never asked the source about that. Maybe I should, but it doesn't bother me that much, I guess. I play Evil West in 30 frames. Another game I haven't finished, by the way.
What was the last game you did finish, by the way, if you can even remember?
Oh, man.
You don't even know.
Don't ask me that.
That's how
don't
bad
ask
it
me
is.
That, bro. It would have been something I reviewed. What did I even review? I didn't even really review much this year. Man, I don't know. It's been a hard year for games that weren't World of Warcraft or Overwatch. It's the problem, man. I play games that you can't complete. I play games that you literally can't complete. But anyway, I don't know. I literally need to look that up because I can't remember.
All right.
But anyway, what I was gonna say something. What was the last prediction we did? I've already forgotten.
Well, mine was Hellblade 2 in September. You disagree. Your last one was about like Starfield having user-generated content.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you were thinking.
So
of
it's
anything.
My turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
My other prediction is Diablo 4 wins Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Whoa. Wow, that is certainly something. Certainly, okay. Even though Zelda's coming out and is going to win, I don't even need to. It's kind of like Elden Ring. It's like you knew Elden Ring was going to win. You're that confident in Diablo, huh?
Yeah, I don't think they'll give a game that's